ownership will be transferred only by delivery. No, nagkaka-transfer lang tayo dyan, delivery, ang nagiging mode no, by which ownership will be transferred. Kaya kung sakali no, na may specific thing that will be contributed by the partner, yun nga lang ito before delivery. Okay, ayan, before delivery. Okay, ay lost na kagad. No, itong object na ito nang hindi man lang na-deliver, yan yung nagkakaroon tayo dito ng dissolution, okay, ng partnership. Kasi ang idea diyan hindi na mako-contribute no, ni partner yung kanyang pinramis. Pero kung after okay, the delivery, nangyari yung loss natin dito no, ng object na yan, walang nagiging dissolution. Okay, meron ka pa ring partnership. Dahil kung nagkaroon na ng delivery, the partnership becomes the owner okay, of the thing. Okay, and in that case, the partnership just suffers the loss. No? Pero hindi nagdi-dissolve ang partnership kasi na-contribute pa rin no, yung specific thing na ito. Pero kung use okay, or enjoyment lang, okay, tawag ito, kung use or enjoyment lang no, ang nagiging contribution ng ating partner, pero the ownership of the thing okay, is still no, with the partner. In that case, kahit yan ay after delivery, magkakaroon tayo dito ng dissolution. No, kasi literal nga na kung use lang ang contribution mo, kahit pa na-deliver mo na yan doon sa partnership, ikaw pa rin ang may-ari. No, walang nagiging transfer of ownership. No, kaya if it will be lost even after delivery already, magkakaroon pa rin tayo dyan ng dissolution considering nga na wala ng contribution pa. No, or wala ng contribution yung partner natin if the thing would perish. Okay? And then, pangatlo, no, ay by death of a partner. No, kasi ito naman simple lang dahil nga he's not no longer or can no longer be a partner. No, sir, pwede ko pa rin naman i-retain yung pagiging partner niya kahit patay siya, paano siya magpa-participate, no? Kaya nga by operation of law. Kaya alangan naman kumuha ka ng espiritista every time na meron kayong partners meeting, no? Para lang masabi natin na kasali pa rin siya in spirit, okay, doon sa partnership ninyo. Kaya automatic na kagad yan na dissolve ang partnership. Okay, or kung sakaling nagkaroon ng insolvency, no, sa mga partners natin madi-dissolve na, or pag nag-suffer ng civil interdiction. Okay? Kasi sabi natin sa civil interdiction, yan yung penalty to a crime, no, where you will not be allowed to manage your properties. No, kaya technically nawawala ng property rights ang isang tao kapag nag-suffer ng civil interdiction. Kaya hindi na siya pinapayagan na maging partner, magiging dissolved na rin ang partnership by operation of law. Again, in all instances here, automatic yan. Now, there is nothing left to do. Okay? Automatically dissolved na kagad ang partnership. Kaya nga yan, makikita mo lang din dito no, yung priority ng batas. Okay? Kasi sa judicial causes natin, ang unang-una dyan ay kapag naging insane no, ang isang partner. Okay? Kaya titingnan mo lang, no, yung insolvency ng partner is a ground to dissolve the partnership by operation of law. Agad-agad. No? Basta nalugi or wala ng pera ang partner, dissolve na kagad ang partnership. Okay? Pero pag siya ay nabaliw, kailangan mo pang dalhin muna sa korte. No, kaya ang datingan tuloy niyan na mas importante sa batas na ang partner ay may pera. Kahit hindi maayos ang kanyang pag-iisip, okay lang. No, kasi kailangan pang patunayan sa korte talaga na siya ay hindi na maayos ang pag-iisip, no? As compared to insolvency na agad-agad, okay? Ay dissolve na kagad ang partnership natin, okay? Or kung sakali dito that there will be any incapability on the part of our partners to perform their duties, okay, to the partnership or comply, okay, with the partnership agreement, okay? Or any conduct now that will tend to be prejudicial to the carrying on of the business. Kaya nga sinasabi natin na dapat when the partners would act no, in behalf of the partnership ay dapat okay? Dapat they must do so with the diligence of a good father of a family. No? Kasi kung sakasakali, maaapektuhan yung partnership as a whole no? With the acts that they will be doing. Okay? And pang-apat, there is a persistent breach of the agreement. No? So, talagang paulit-ulit okay? Yung hindi pag-comply no? Doon sa agreement natin, in that case ay pwede na ring i-dissolve ang partnership or kung sakaling taglugi lang no? Ang partnership natin na ito na hindi naman na talaga kikita, no? Pwede na rin niya i-dissolve by judicial causes. And yung catch-all na lang natin na in other circumstances where it will be an equitable remedy to dissolve the partnership. Ang makikita nyo lang no, na commonality dito sa mga ito, okay, lahat ng yan ay considered as questions of fact. Okay, at dahil nga factual no on whether the ground exists or not. Okay, ibig sabihin kakailanganin diyan ng trial no. Kaya nga nagiging judicial kasi korte. Okay, ang kailangan magsabi kung talaga bang nag-exist yung ground natin or hindi. No? Kaya nagiging judicial causes ang mga yan dahil questions of fact lahat sila. Hindi katulad kasi no ng ating mga extrajudicial causes. Like for example, namatay ang isang partner. Kailangan mo pa bang patunayan sa korte na patay na? Hindi na. No? Kaya nga by operation of law ay nangyayari na kagad yung dissolution natin. Okay? Good morning po, attorney. Okay lang po bang magbalik sa previous slide? Na-disconnect po kasi ako for screenshot purposes. Nako, dear, kapag ganito po yung situation natin, baka it would be better to just go back to the recordings na lang po para dire-diretso lang tayo. No? Kasi pag pabalik-balik pa tayo ng slide, nagkakause lang ng delay. I hope you understand. Okay, thank you. Now, so those will be our causes for dissolution. No? So dito, ano naman ang magiging epekto pag na-dissolve na ang partnership? Generally, the mutual agency will be terminated. Na anong ibig sabihin yan? No? Yung mga acts ng partnership natin dito ay hindi na binding, okay, to the partnership. No? Kaya yung mga pinapasok nilang kontrata, generally speaking, ay hindi na dapat binding yan sa partnership kung na-terminate na ang mutual agency. Otherwise stated, or to simplify that, hindi na sila agent. Now, once the partnership is dissolved, hindi na sila agent. No? Kaya hindi na nila kayang i-bind kaya yung partnership as a principal. Yun nga lang dito, nagkakaroon pa tayo ng notice requirement kung ang cause ng dissolution natin will be aid, no, or acts, insolvency, or death. Pero kung hindi naman aid ang naging cause ng dissolution natin, kahit walang notice, ay magiging dissolved na or magiging terminated na ang mutual agency. So ganito, no? It's more of timing lang. Okay, kung kunwari, meron kang tatlong partners dito. Okay, etong si A ay namatay, sabihin natin January of 2024. No, tapos itong si B, okay, January 31, ayan. Okay, eto namang si B on Feb 2, okay, 2024. Supposedly entered the contract with D. Na ang kakontrata niya dito ay si D. Kaya nung pumasok siya sa Feb 2, na-notify lang, or nakatanggap lang ng notice itong si B nung February 5 na, okay, of 2024. No? In that case, magiging binding pa ba? Okay, ang contract na pinasok ni B in behalf of the partnership? The answer is yes. No? Dahil nga, death ang cause ng dissolution natin, hindi niya pa natatanggap yung notice na namatay na yung isang partner, pwede niya pang bind ang partnership. Na kaya nagmamatter lang yung notice kapag acts, insolvency, or death. Now, but otherwise, if not aid, okay, kahit wala namang notice, that terminated na ang mutual agency natin. Okay? Now, when it comes to those that will still be binding, kasama pa rin dyan yung mga kontrata that will be related to liquidation and winding up. Now, kasi literal lang naman na yan talaga yung magiging kontrata na papasukin natin after the dissolution. Kaya it will be binding upon the partnership pa rin. Or, okay, if the third party, no, na contracting party is innocent, na hindi alam, no, na nagkaroon na pala ng dissolution ng partnership. Ito naman ang idea ay meron tayong creditors in good faith. Okay, who entered the contract with the partner not knowing, no, na dissolve na pala ito. We are just trying to protect the interest of the third party in good faith. Okay? Now, supposedly, pwede pa rin namang ituloy yung old partnership kung kunwari may isa lang na namatay. No, yung mga remaining partners natin, they can still continue, no, the old partnership and hindi na magli-liquidate. Na in that case, dahil walang naging liquidation, yung old creditors ng old partnership, sila pa rin ay creditors ng magiging new partnership natin. Okay? Ganun lang ang magiging effect dahil hindi nga magkakaroon ng liquidation kung i-continue lang. Okay? Yung partnership after the dissolution. Okay? Now, in winding up or liquidation, dito na natin kinukuha lahat ng assets dahil ibibenta na, no, para maging cash. Okay? Kaya nga literal yung liquidate. Okay? Dahil kino-convert natin sila in cash, no, para maipamigay na nga natin in accordance with the priorities provided for by law. Okay? Now, ang tanong ngayon dito ay sino ang nagiging liquidator ng partnership? It will be the party who did not wrongfully cause the dissolution of the partnership. No, yung walang kasalanan. Okay? Kung bakit na-dissolve ang partnership. Or kung sakali na lahat sila ay patay na at wala na tayong pwedeng partner na maging liquidator. No? In that case, the representative of the last surviving partner will be our liquidator. Okay? On the premise lang din, no, na solvent siya dapat. Kasi kung siya ay insolvent, magiging disqualified na rin, no, na maging liquidator yung representative na yan. Or the court itself. Okay, can appoint itself as the liquidator or appoint somebody else, no, that will become the liquidator of the partnership. Okay, now, ito lang, may magandang kaso lang dito, no, yung kaso ng Lazatin Magats, no, versus Prime Property Development. Yan. Okay, PPDC, Prime Property Development Corporation. Yes. Okay, so meron tayo dito dalawang parties. Okay, na si PPDC at Lazatin Magats, no? Ito, nag-form sila ng joint venture. Okay, ang contribution dito ng Lazatin Magats will be yung lupa. Okay, kung saan itatayo yung subdivision, no, na kanilang itatayo. Kaya may specific undertaking lang to form a subdivision. While PPDC will be the one contributing the materials and labor, okay, to facilitate the development of the property. Okay, unang-una, bakit ba natin to dinidiscuss kung yan ay joint venture? Partnership ang topic natin. Kasi sabi ng Supreme Court, the only practical difference between a partnership and a joint venture is that a partner or a corporation rather cannot be a partner. No, cannot be a partner. Pero ngayon kasi under the revised corporation code ay pwede na. no, allowed na maging partner ang corporation. Kaya nga pagtatanungin tayo, ano ang difference ng joint venture at ng partnership? Wala na. No, because that was the only difference that they have na tinanggal na nga ng revised corporation code. Kaya sabi ng Supreme Court, now when it comes to a joint venture, the law on partnerships will be the one applicable, okay, on matters that will not be covered by the stipulation of the parties. Now, what happened here is that supposedly PPDC will be the one managing the joint venture. Now, binibigyan lang nila dito ng mga financial statements, okay, ng financial statements yung mga Lazatin Magats. No, yun nga lang napansin ng mga Lazatin Magats na parang palugi ng palugi, no, yung joint venture habang tumatagal. Kaya they sued kay PPDC, no, at napatunayan dito na merong fraud, okay, with regards to financial statements that are being prepared by PPDC, which then resulted in dissolution, okay, of the partnership. No, nagkaroon ng dissolution. Ngayon, when the court ordered, okay, the dissolution of the partnership, na tatlong bagay. Unang-una, sabi nila, sa Lazatin Magats mapupunta ang possession, okay, nung lupa at ng mga improvements, no, na meron na doon sa ating lupa, no, kung saan nga itatayo itong subdivision dapat na ito. So yung mga nakatayong bahay kasama din na ang possession nila ay mapupunta sa Lazatin Magats. Pangalawa, no, ay merong mga contract of sale, okay, na pinasok itong mga Lazatin Magats, no, including those of the improvements. Okay, may mga binenta-benta na yung mga Lazatin Magats na yan after. Okay, and pangatlo, na supposedly, tatlo ang problema pala, no, dito ni PPDC. Okay, una nga, nirereklamo nila na bakit na kay Lazatin Magats ang possession ng mga lupa at ng mga improvements. Considering naman na yung lupa lang ang nakay Lazatin Magat, no, at yung mga improvements ng lupa na yan, na mga bahay na natayo na, yung basketball court, yung clubhouse, swimming pool, lahat naman yan ang nagpatayo ay si PPDC. No, so yan ang nirereklamo niya na bakit na kay Lazatin Magats ang possession. Pangalawa, kini-question ng Lazatin Magats dito, okay, the Lazatin Magats question, no, na bakit daw binibenta ng Lazatin Magats yung mga improvements? Sila nga ang nagpatayo niyan. No, at pangatlo, na nagiging problema nila dito, ay gusto na nilang makuha, no, yung return ng kanilang investment. Okay, yung mga ginastos daw nila, no, doon sa joint venture na ito ay dapat isoli na sa kanila. No, ngayon, ito ang naging decision dito ng Supreme Court. Unang-una, tama lang na kay Lazatin Magats ang possession ng mga lupa at ng mga improvements dahil the Lazatin Magats were constituted as the liquidator. Now, bakit sila ang liquidator? Because they are the ones who did not wrongfully cause, okay, the dissolution of the partnership, no, or that of the joint venture. Kaya sila talaga ang magiging treated as the liquidator of the partnership. Pangalawa, tama lang na binibenta talaga even the improvements kasi nga tayo ay nag-undergo ng liquidation and winding up. No, ano bang ginagawa natin pag liquidation? Binibenta, no, yung mga properties para nga maging cash sila na pambayad ng creditors and then eventually nga i-distribute sa mga partners natin. Now, sa pangatlong claim naman na bakit hindi pa daw nire-return ng investment, no, kasi nga hindi pa tapos ang liquidation kaya hindi pa entitled to the return just because na-dissolve na ang joint venture natin. Kasi sabi ng Supreme Court, na meron kasi tayong sinusunod na order, okay, when it comes to the distribution of the assets. No, di ba? Ang ganda ng transition ko. Okay? So ano yung order sa distribution ng assets na ito? Uunahin pa rin muna natin yung mga third-party creditors natin. Na yung mga creditors na hindi naman partners. At kung meron lang matitira, tsaka natin ngayon bibigyan yung mga partners who are creditors at the same time. Na kaya partner creditors ang susunod nating babayaran dito with regards the credit that they have, no, or yung utang ng ating partnership sa kanila. And kung sakali lang din na may matitira pa, no, tsaka lang natin ibabalik yung kanilang capital contributions. Na kung may matitira pa, no? And kung may sumobra pa, okay, even after the return of the capital contributions to the partners, then yung distribution na ng surplus profits natin. Okay, tsaka na yan i-distribute sa mga partners natin, no? Ganyan na magiging order of distribution natin. Yun nga lang, paano kung kunwari, no, doon pa lang sa third party creditors ay kulang na. Okay, yung naging proceeds ng assets natin. Sabi natin, the general partners can be liable, no, beyond, okay, their contribution. Kaya pwede silang maging liable with their separate assets. Okay, yan nga yung sinasabi nating liability after the exhaustion of the partnership assets. Okay, pero kung sakaling insolvent ang isang partner, na ibig sabihin, sa kanya pa lang or sa sarili niya pa lang, yung mga utang niya ay hindi niya na kayang bayaran dahil kulang na ang assets niya, okay, meron din tayong order of priority na inuuna pa rin natin yung creditors niya, na yun muna ang pagbabayaran ng assets na meron siya. Kung may matitira lang, and yung creditors ng partnership, at kung may matitira pa, tsaka yung pwede naman na maging owing to the other partners by way of their capital contribution. No, kaya nagkakaroon din tayo ng priority with regards the separate property of the partners. Okay? Now, let's go to the last topic, which would be limited partnership. Okay, again, when it comes to a limited partnership, may tayong tinatawag na limited liability. Na, pero ang idea nga natin ng limited partnership ay at least one. Okay, general partner yan, at least one limited partner. Okay, wala tayong concept sa Pilipinas nung tinatawag na limited liability partnership. Now, where all of them are limited partners, wala tayong ganyan dito. No, sa Pilipinas, required pa rin na merong at least one general partner. Okay, kahit pa marami ang limited partners niyan, no, for there to be a limited partnership. Now, in limited liability, again, sabi natin, hindi nag-a-apply sa kanila yung liability after exhaustion of partnership assets. Kasi hanggang capital contribution lang ang liability ng mga limited partners natin. Kaya kapag naubos na, no, ang capital contributions nila, tapos na rin ang participation nila. Kasi hindi na pwedeng gamitin ang kanilang mga personal assets na pambayad sa liability ng partnership. No, kaya nga limited ang treatment natin sa kanilang nagiging liability. Okay? Now, in the formation of a limited partnership, now there is a certificate of limited partnership that is required to be filed with the SEC. Okay, may certificate na fina-file natin sa SEC. And kung sakali yan ay hindi mako-comply, no, wala kang certificate of limited partnership or meron man pero hindi mo sinabit sa SEC, ang magiging treatment na natin ay general partnership na. Now, where all the partners will be general partners na in the event na hindi yan submitted sa SEC. Kaya ang idea tuloy dito, nagiging prerequisite, okay, for the formation of the limited partnership na dapat may certificate at dapat nga yan ay filed with the SEC. Okay, ngayon, ano magiging contents na nitong certificate of limited partnership natin? Yung partnership name. Na ang requirement dito ng batas ay dapat yung word na limited or the letters LTD. Okay, must be indicated in the firm name. Otherwise, kapag wala din yan, ang treatment na rin natin sa kanila ay general partnership na. Na kasi ito, nagiging requirement yan para kung sino man ang kanila makakatransact, no, aware kagad. Okay, na limited partnership lang ang kanilang kausap, na merong mga partners na limited lang ang liability. No, kaya pag wala yan, no, doon sa partnership name natin, ginagawa na siyang general partnership practically by the principle of estoppel. No, dahil baka na mag-transact sa kanilang ibang tao under the impression na lahat ay general partners. Okay, kaya we will stick, no, with that particular representation. Na dahil nga walang word na limited or wala yung LTD, kaya magiging general partnership na ang treatment natin sa kanila. Okay? Now, nilalagay din natin sa ating certificate of limited partnership yung magiging character of the business. Practically, that will be the activity, no, under which the partnership will be operating. Okay? The location of the principal place of business and the details with regards to the partners. No? Kaya yung name and ang kanilang residence. No? Pero dito, kailangan specifically designated pa sa certificate pa lang kung sino sa kanila ang general partners, sino ang limited partners. No? Nakaspecify na kagad yan sa certificate of limited partnership natin. Okay? And the specific term, okay, for which the partnership will be existing, no, which will be mandatory. Kaya ang idea tuloy, no, technically ay wala tayong partnership at will, no, na kapag limited partnership ang pinag-uusapan. Okay? Although, nothing prevents them naman na upon expiration of the period or the term agreed upon to continue. No, allow din naman. Okay? Na mag-continue pa rin sila. Now, pang-anim na nilalagay natin will be the contribution. No, kapag ito ay cash, yung amount na ibibigay, kapag yan ay property, yung description at value, no, ng property na ito ay dapat nakaspecify din doon sa ating certificate together with any additional, okay, contributions that they would have to make, okay, with regards to partnership. Na ito, nagmamatter yung dalawang yan kasi kung nagkaroon ng difference, ang treatment natin dyan sa limited partner ay debtor. Okay, nagiging debtor ang liability niya to the partnership. So kung kunwari, nakalagay sa certificate natin ay 1 million ang contribution niya, pero yung actual contribution lang pala niya ay 600,000 lang. So yung difference dito na 400,000, ang treatment natin kay limited partner ay parang debtor. Na kaya whatever will be the available remedies of a creditor under the loan obligations will be equally applicable to the partnership, no, in collecting that particular difference. Okay? Kaya nagmamatter yung paglagay natin ng contribution at nung magiging additional contribution ng limited partners. Okay? Now, also in the certificate, we are to indicate the share of the profits na matatanggap ng ating mga limited partners. Okay? In order for that to be applicable, dapat nakalagay na yan, or any other compensation that they will be receiving, that will be part now of the distribution of income. Okay? The time agreed upon with regards to the return of the contribution will also be indicated, as well as the right to have a substitute limited partner. Now, expound natin yung mga yan in a while. Okay, lalo-lalo na yung return ng contribution na ito. Okay? Now, dito muna tayo sa substitute limited partner. Kasi sabi natin na the interest of a partner is assignable. Okay? And that will be equally applicable pagdating sa limited partner. Now, at kapag namatay naman ang limited partner, hindi nagkakaroon ng dissolution. General partner lang. Now, yung pag namatay ay nadidissolve ang partnership. Kaya pag namatay ang isang limited partner or inassign niya na yung kanyang interest sa ibang tao, okay, or to a third party, hindi automatic na nagiging substitute limited partner yan. Okay? Ang kailangan natin dito ay magko-consent kay ang lahat ng mga partners or kung sakali naman na may karapatan na to have a substitute limited partner indicated in the certificate. Na kaya ang idea tuloy sa enumeration natin na ito, yung right, okay, to substitute. Ibig sabihin, hindi nakakailanganin tuloy dito yung consent, okay, ng all partners natin kapag magsa-substitute na si limited partner. Kasi nandun sa certificate yung karapatan niyang yan. Na, kaya nagiging requirement lang natin yung consent of all the partners for substitution. Nag-a-apply lang to pag wala itong right, okay, to substitute another person, okay, as a substitute limited partner. Okay? Now, other things to indicate, no, ito nga yung limited partners interest natin. Okay? Again, pareho ng concept na that the limited partners interest is also the share in the profits and surplus. No, kaya katulad din sa general partners na pwede yang i-assign or ibenta, pwede maging subject to execution or attachment, equally applicable din yan pag limited partner na pinag-uusapan. Although, as we have mentioned earlier, when it comes to the redemption, no, ang pwede lang natin gamitin dyan ay property ng ating mga general partners. Okay, hindi natin pwedeng gamitin yung partnership property to redeem, okay, the limited partners interest. Hindi nga katulad pag sa general partner, yung ginawa natin table kanina, na pag general partner pwede either. Na partnership property, pwede rin naman yung property ng other partners. Pero pag limited partners interest na, bawal ang partnership property gamitin for the redemption of that particular interest. Okay? Now, we are dealing lang with more intricacies na kasi we're dealing with the more intricate provisions of the law. Kaya ito yung medyo mas specified na yung mga rules natin na yan. Ngayon, other things that will be indicated in the certificate will be the right to admit additional limited partners. Okay? Priority that will be provided, okay, to our other limited partners. So, pwedeng magbigay ka rin ng preference. Now, with regards 1 or 2 limited partners as compared to the other limited partners na wala, no, yung priority na yan. Pero, yan ay required, no, to be indicated in the certificate to be binding. Otherwise, kung yung priority na yan ay wala sa certificate, ang treatment natin sa lahat ng limited partners ay equal na ang magiging treatment natin sa kanila. Okay? And other rights, no, such as the right to continue the business and the right to receive property other than cash kapag ibabalik na natin yung contribution ng limited partner. Etong tatlo lang na ito, no, yan kasi yung otherwise, no, kapag wala, no, kunwari yan, ano magiging consequence pag wala yan? In that case, kakailanganin mo pa yung consent, okay, ng lahat ng partners to perform those acts, no? To admit additional limited partner, to continue the business after dissolution, okay, and to allow the limited partner to receive a property other than cash. Now, in all instances, pag wala yan sa certificate, no, kakailanganin mo pa yung consent ng lahat ng partners para sa mga yan. Okay? Kaya it follows na kapag yan ay nasa certificate of limited partnership na natin, then hindi mo na kailangan yung consent, no, ng lahat ng partners pa. No? Pag yan naman ay nasa certificate of limited partnership na. Okay? Now, meron lang tayong tatlong limitations when it comes to a limited partner. Na unang-una na ay hindi siya pwedeng industrial. Okay? Kasi suppose hindi ang contribution ng ating limited partner will be money or property lang dapat. Okay, hindi pwedeng industry. Kaya nga kung ang true or false statement mo is that an industrial partner is always a capitalist partner, the answer would be yes. No, because he cannot be legally considered a limited partner kung sakali nga na meron siyang industry, no, na contribution. Kaya normally, dapat siya ay capitalist partner dapat. Pangalawa, na ay hindi pwedeng lumabas sa firm name ang kanyang apelido, okay, or ang kanyang pangalan. Okay? Kaya dito, na pag lumabas, or rather, kasi ang idea dyan ay baka ma-mislead, No, yung mga tao na lumabas doon yung apelyido niya, baka isipin na general partner siya, kaya siya nasa partnership name. Okay? Pero, ang exception kasi natin dito ay kung sakaling nagkataon lang no, na may kapangalan siya no, na lumalabas doon sa partnership name. Like for example, kung pangalan din yun ng general partner or dati nang pangalan niya ng partnership bago pa siya pumasok doon sa partnership na ito. No, kaya sinasabi nga natin, nagkataon lang, pero hindi siya no, yung nasa partnership name na apelidong yan. Okay? And pangatlo is that a limited partner cannot participate okay, in the management of the partnership. Kaya nga, iyan din yung dahilan natin kung bakit ang capitalist partner ay sabi natin bawal no, na mag-engage in a business of a similar industry. Okay? As a general rule. Pero kapag limited partner lang naman siya, doon sa similar industry na yon pwede na. No? Kasi nga, hindi naman siya makakapag-participate sa management. Ibig sabihin yan, wala naman nagiging conflict of interest. No, kaya pag kinonect mo lang doon sa capitalist partner natin, kaya yan ang dahilan bakit inaalaw kung limited partner lang siya doon sa other business venture. Okay? Now, ito lang din yung tatlong yan when there will be a violation okay, of all these limitations, no? Kung sakali nagkaroon ng violation. Okay, ibig sabihin, nag-contribute ang industry, lumabas ang pangalan sa firm name, or nag-participate sa management. Now, in that case, general partner na ang magiging treatment natin sa kanya. Okay? At least, no, for purposes of third parties, yan ang magiging consequence yan. At yan nga yung sinabi natin na isa sa mga twist no, na lumabas natin sa October 2018 board exam. No, na ang ginawa nila doon, A, B, and C, okay, are partners of ABC Limited. Okay, so ibig sabihin, limited partner daw si C, pero yung pangalan niya naman ay nasa firm name, ang treatment na rin natin general partner na. No, kaya pwede na maging liable up to their personal properties okay, or assets no, kung sakali nga na ma-violate ang tatlong ito. Kaya yan na magiging legal consequence yan. Okay, now, the rights of a limited partner are practically the same no, as that of a general partner na. Kaya pwede na rin silang magkaroon ng karapatan relative to the books no, to be kept at the principal office, to inspect and to copy. No, nakarapatan din naman ng general partners. Okay, pangalawa is that they can also demand for a formal accounting. Okay, whenever it is just and reasonable, no, to demand for that. Normally, kaya yung nagiging just and reasonable ay kapag nagkakaroon ka na ng duda, no, kung tama pa ba, no, yung income na nare-report sa iyo dahil nga wala ka namang participation sa management, no, tapos mapapansin mo parang pababa ang income, you can demand for a formal accounting, no, para nga mabigay yung reason kung bakit ganun yung laman ng mga financials so that are being provided to you. Okay? Now, a partner, like any other partner, a limited partner may also ask, okay, for the dissolution of the partnership, no, and its related liquidation and winding up. Okay? Whenever that right would be particularly applicable na. Like for example nga, natapos na yung specific undertaking or nag-arrive na yung ating fixed term agreed upon. Ang idadagdag lang natin dyan na magiging valid ground to ask for dissolution ay kapag dinemand niya na yung return ng capital contribution niya pero hindi binalik ng partnership without any valid cause. Na kapag walang dahilan kung bakit hindi binalik pag nagkaroon na ng demand for the return of the capital contribution. Okay? Now, like any other partner, na may karapatan din ng limited partner to receive a share in the profits. Okay? Yan nga yung sinasabi natin supposedly na right interest na sa kanyang partnership. Okay? Yun nga lang yan, yung magiging share niya ng profits or return ng kanyang contribution. Okay? Ito. Yung return of the contribution will be subject to the following limitations. Na unang-una ay dapat no, mas malaki pa rin ang matitirang assets kaya ng partnership kahit siya ay babayaran. Or otherwise stated, there will be enough properties left okay, to pay off our third-party liabilities. Okay? Pag babayaran natin si limited partner, meron dapat matitira pa rin. Okay, doon sa ating mga third-party creditors. Okay, the consent of all the partners was secured. Okay, with regards the return of the contribution, unless on instances when it can be rightfully demanded, hindi mo na kailangan ng consent pa. Now we will discuss that in a while. And the certificate is already canceled. No, kaya in that case, lahat yan or rather, pag lahat yan ay na-comply na, then saka lang pwedeng i-return no, yung contribution ng ating partners na ngayon or limited partners. Ngayon, kailan yung pwedeng ang i-demand no yung contribution? At ito pag sinabi nga natin na rightfully demand, ibig sabihin hindi mo na kailangan yung consent. Okay, ng lahat ng partners no para lang makuha ang contribution mo. Una ay kung sakaling merong dissolution ng partnership. Kasi it follows na mag-liquidate na tayo. Kaya pwede mo na talagang i-demand yan. Dahil na-dissolve na nga ang partnership. Pangalawa, no ay kung merong fixed term okay, or specified date kung kailan ibabalik no, yung kanyang contribution. Kaya nga ito, pag tinignan natin in substance, na ang limited partner talaga ay mukhang creditor. Okay, mukhang creditor. Kasi kadalasan nga may fixed term kung kailan ibabalik yung contribution niya, which is practically the principal amount. No, kaya yung mga profits na natatanggap niya, mas logical na tinatawag nating interest. No, dahil nga in substance ay parang creditor ng treatment natin sa limited partner. Okay? Or kung sakali naman na wala pang dissolution, wala ring date na nakalagay sa ating certificate kung kailan yan ibabalik, pero nagbigay na ng notice. No? But the notice here is required to be a 6-month period. Okay, 6 months yan, no? Na dapat within, or rather not to be payable within 6 months. So nabigay ka ng notice ngayon, dapat yung demand mo for contribution will be 6 months after. No, yan yung sinasabi nating 6 months notice. Okay? Again, in all instances, hindi kailangan ng consent ng lahat ng partners. Pero kung wala nga applicable sa tatlong yan, pwede pa rin bang ibalik ang contribution niya? Pwede. Pero kakailanganin mo pa nga yung consent ng ibang partners for that. Okay? Now, to have their consent with regards to the following matters, no, that are practically the same na, no, kung saan naghihingi din tayo ng consent ng mga general partners in a general partnership. Okay? So, dito, kinakailangan talaga yung consent ng partners sa mga acts na ito. Okay, ng partners. Pero pag sinabi kasi natin partners dyan, kasama ang general partner, kasama din, pati limited partners na sa pagdidesisyon sa mga bagay na yan. Kaya nga ito, no, pareho na rin yan doon sa nakita natin yung iba. No, ay pareho na rin doon sa nakita natin kung saan ang consent ng lahat ng partners ay kailangan, like any act that will be in contravention to the certificate. Okay, any act that will make it impossible to carry the business. Kaya ang tendency niyan ay magsasara na, no, yung partnership natin. To confess a judgment that will make the partnership liable. Kailangan din pati limited partners magko-consent din dyan, no? Or to possess partnership property for other than, okay, partnership purposes. Kakailanganin pa rin yan na lahat ay mag-consent, even the limited partners dapat, okay? Now, kung sakali din to admit general partners, kailangan din ng consent ng limited partners natin dyan. And to admit limited partners, additional limited partners and to continue the business. Pero if you remember, ito dalawang ito sabi natin, kapag nasa certificate na, okay, etong right na ito, no, to perform those acts, no, in that case hindi mo nakakailanganin pa yung consent, okay, ng lahat ng partners kung yan ay nasa certificate na natin. Kaya nagiging requirement lang yung consent ng lahat ng partners, even the limited partners kung sakaling ang hindi yan indicated sa certificate of limited partnership natin. Okay, now a limited partner will be also allowed to become a creditor, no, kaya nga pwede rin siya ang magpapautang sa ating partnership, no, pero may dalawang restrictions ito. Una ay hindi siya pwedeng kumuha ng security na partnership property. Pangalawa, babayaran lang siya. No? Pag tinignan natin na yung remaining assets natin after the payment ay magiging sufficient pa rin to pay off the third-party creditors. No? Or otherwise stated, kung babayaran natin siya, no? And ang mangyayari dyan ay walang matitira, no? Para bayaran lahat ng creditors natin, hindi muna babayaran. Okay? Ganun na magiging rule natin dyan. And take note that any violation of these restrictions will be considered in fraud of creditors. No? Kaya kung kunwari, okay, magbigay tayo example. No, ito si limited partner. Okay, nagpautang ng pera dito sa partnership na ito. Ito naman partnership binigay, no, ang kanyang equipment. Okay, as a subject of a chattel mortgage, no, as security. Ang tanong ngayon dito, what is the status of the chattel mortgage contract? The answer there is rescissible. Na bakit rescissible contract? Kasi nga dahil yan ay covering property of the partnership. Now that is part of our limitation na hindi pwedeng gamitin collateral, okay, or security for the loan extended by the limited partner. It becomes in fraud of creditors. At dahil yan ay in fraud of creditors, papasok yan dun sa pangatlo, no, na ating rescissible contracts. No? Diyan lang nagkakaroon ng interplay with the law on contracts natin that we have discussed before. Diba? Sabi natin, pag rescissible contract, dalawang lesion. Okay? In fraud of creditors, things under litigation or those that may be provided for by law, andun yan dun sa pangatlo. No, na kung saan nga it will be in fraud of creditors rescissible. Kaya ang magiging treatment natin doon sa chattel mortgage contract. Ngayon, nagkakaroon na din tayo ng concept ng general limited partner. No, pero ito, to simplify that, general partner siya with regards third parties. Okay, and limited partner siya with regards the partners. No, kaya ano ang kamukha nga niyan? Sabi natin, ang kamukha na niyan ay pag meron tayong stipulation, okay, that exempts, okay, a partner with regards the liability after exhaustion of partnership assets. No, kasi ito yung sabi natin, no, na supposedly ay void as to third parties pero valid as to partners. No, kaya yung stipulation na yan, pwede pa rin singilin si partner na exempted pero pwedeng magpa-reimburse si partner, no, sa mga kapwa niya partners dahil valid nga yan sa kanila. Ganun na rin ang kamuka, no, ng general limited partner natin. Parehong-pareho na ng legal consequences. No, kaya pwede siyang singilin, no, ng third party creditors pero pwede siyang magpa-reimburse, okay, sa mga partners. Kasi nga general partner siya sa third party pero sa mga partners, limited partner treatment natin sa kanya. No? At yan nga yung tinatawag nating general limited partner. Okay? Now, Ito lang kapag sa general partner lang pertaining yung retirement, death, insolvency, insanity, and civil interdiction, it will also result in the dissolution of the partnership, which will then necessitate na magkakaroon tayo ng liquidation or winding up. Pero hindi naman kasi pinagbabawalan nga na pag nangyari yan sa isang general partner, pwede pa rin namang ituloy yung business. Kung sakali, ano ang magiging valid grounds natin to continue the business? Either the right is specified in the certificate of limited partnership or kung wala yung right na yan to continue the business pero nag-consent lahat ng partners. And when we talk about all the partners, pati nga limited partners ay kasali dyan, na dapat boboto sa pag-allow ng continuance of the business. Pero kung sakaling si limited partner ay nag-demand nga ng kanyang contribution na maibalik na either because may fixed term, nagkaroon na ng dissolution, or kung sakali nga na sinasabi natin nagbigay ng 6 months notice pero hindi binalik ang contribution niya, that will also be a ground to dissolve the partnership na. Pero yan kasi nga yung by court action, yung magiging dissolution natin diyan. Now, the distribution of partnership assets when it comes to a limited partnership ay halos kamukha naman na ng diniscuss natin kanina, except nagiging priority dito yung profits bago yung pagbalik ng ating kapital. Hindi katulad nga sa general partnership na inuuna yung pagbalik ng kapital bago yung share sa profits. Kaya pag limited partnership, uunahin muna third party. Yung mga third party muna nating creditors, And then those that will be owing to our limited partners muna. Limited partners yan. Pero makikita nga, ito muna yung credit nyo. Pag creditor din, ang limited partner natin, and then yung profits ang uunahin natin. At kung may matitira pa nga, kay limited partner pa rin dito, pero with respect to the capital na. Ang ibabalik natin. Pagbayad na, lahat ng third parties, so una third parties, and then lahat muna na kay limited partner, with priorities lang din as to the claims, other than profits and capital, then profits, then capital, then saka lang, may matitira dito na para sa general partners na. Now, with regards their credit, kapag general partner na creditor pa, and then yung profits, and then yung capital. Ngayon, bakit ba ganyan? Hindi katulad sa general partnership, inuuna ang capital. Kasi sabi nga natin, ang limited partner ay parang creditor. Kaya ang idea tuloy niyan, yung share sa profits na binabalik natin sa kanila ay interest. Kaya yung interest muna ang binabayaran bago babayaran yung principal. Ganun na nagiging rational. Kung bakit natin inuuna yung profits compared to the capital kapag ang pinag-uusapan nga natin ay limited partnership. So that concludes our law on partnerships that again will account for 6 questions. Based on the current TOS of the... Oh, we are now on the law on corporations, which ayan, which by itself, will be the single highest number of topics that will be asked pagdating sa ating board exam, because the law on corporations together with the SRC will be accounting for 30 questions. Kaya nga ito, inuuna talaga na namin dahil gusto ko talaga ito pumapasok sa pre-board nyo pa lang, sa first pre-board, para at least 2 pre-board nyo ma-encounter. Ang law on corporations, dahil nga pagdating talaga sa actual board exam, pinakamarami ang tanong na nanggagaling sa law on corporations. And to be fair, mahaba din talaga siya. Kaya 30 items. Hindi katulad ng ibang topics na ang haba na pero yung number of questions ay mababa. Sa corporations talaga yung sulit, yung pagkamahaba niya kasi nga 30 items ang itatanong dito together with the SRC. So let's start here with regards corporations, yung kanilang magiging definition. A corporation is defined under the law as an artificial being created by operation of law having the right of succession and the properties, powers, and attributes that are expressly provided by law or incidental to its existence. At ito, yung mga naka-highlight na yan, hindi ko yan kinulayan out of trip-trip lang. Kinulayan ko talaga yan dahil yan na rin yung mga magiging attributes na pag-uusapan natin. That it is supposedly an artificial being. It is created by operation of law. Supposedly it has the right of succession and the powers, attributes, and properties that are expressly authorized by law or incidental to its existence. Wala yung slides? Alo, bakit ganyan? Sige nga, ulitin ko. Ayan. Andyan na? Ayan. Yung end ng partnership yung naka-flash. Okay, sige. Baka hindi ko kasi napalitan. Ayan, okay na daw. Talagang panik na panik naman kayo. Pero lahat naman na nakasulat dyan ay nandun pa rin sa inyong handout. Anyway, so that is the definition. And again, these are the 4 attributes. No? Artificial being created by operation of law. Okay, it has supposedly a right of succession and the powers, attributes, and properties expressly authorized by law or incidental to its existence. So, iisa-isahin natin yung mga yan. Una, yung pagiging artificial being niya. Now, similar to a partnership, ang treatment natin sa corporation is that it has a separate juridical personality. Okay? Ito nga rin yung tinatawag nating doctrine of separate juridical personality or the corporate entity theory. Ang premise natin dito ay na ang utang ng corporation ay kay corporation lang. Hindi nagiging utang yan ng stockholders. Ang utang ng stockholders ay utang lang niya, hindi nagiging utang ng corporation. Now, on the premise nga supposedly that we treat the corporation as if it is a person by itself. Now, kaya ang utang ko, hindi nyo utang. Ang utang nyo, lalong hindi ko utang yan. Bakit may lalo? May lalo talaga. Pero ganun nga yung idea no, na magkakaibang tao, no, ang mga stockholders at no, ang kanilang corporation. Kaya it proceeds also from the idea na nagkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag na doctrine of limited liability. Okay, may doctrine of limited liability. Okay, nakatulad din sa limited partner natin no, na supposedly ang mga stockholders natin ay liable lang up to the capital contributions only. No, kaya kung sakali na ang assets ng ating corporation ay 2 million pero ang liabilities niya ay 5 million pa. No, yung 3 million dito na natitira ay hindi pwedeng singilin sa mga stockholders natin. No, kasi nga hiwalay na tao. No, and dahil nga may doctrine of limited liability din tayo na hindi nga sila pwedeng pasagutin nung magiging matitirang utang no, ng ating corporation. Okay, kaya that's one of the advantages. Kaya hindi katulad kasi pag limited partnership ang meron ka, meron pa rin isa at least no, na general partner who can be liable up to his personal assets. No, pero pag corporation, lahat ng stockholders natin will have limited liability. No, na hanggang capital contribution lang ang liability na meron sila. Okay? Kaya yan, ang treatment nga natin ay separate and distinct ang personality ng corporation from the stockholders. Kaya hindi naapektuhan yung rights, obligations, or transactions ng isa't isa na with other parties. Na kasi nga ibang tao, no? All in all ang treatment natin sa ating corporation. Pero meron tayong tinatawag dito ang piercing the veil of corporate entity. Na? Ang idea natin dito ay dapat ginagamit lang yung corporate fiction, okay, or the corporate entity theory only for lawful or legitimate transactions lamang. No, kailangan sa legal lang, no, ginagamit yung separate juridical personality ng corporation natin. Kaya the moment na ginamit ito for anything that is illegal, no, that will defeat public convenience to justify a wrong, to protect fraud, or to defend a crime, okay, or otherwise just escape liability, na in that case isi-set aside ng korte, no, ang piercing the or rather ang corporate entity theory by invoking the piercing the veil of the corporate entity, no, na principle natin. In which case, ang magiging treatment natin dyan ay parang no, wala nang separate juridical personality ang corporation na pwede nang maging liable ang mga partners natin or ang ating stockholders even up to their personal assets na. No? Or otherwise nga, as if wala lang no, na separate juridical personality na yung ating corporation. Ngayon, this was exemplified by the court no, in one particular case. Ito yung kaso ni Isabelo Kalingasan. Okay, si Isabelo Kalingasan ay may-ari ng isang jeepney. Okay? Yung jeepney na yan ay dinadrive ng isang driver na si D. Na and driving recklessly, itong si D ay nakapatay ng bata. Na nabangga niya yung bata no, at namatay. Na sabi natin ngayon dito, anong pwedeng maging source ng liability ni driver? Pwedeng delict, pwedeng kasay delict. No, kaya yung parents ng batang ito ay kinasuhan si D under delict. No, ang naging kaso niya dito and he was found guilty, okay, of reckless imprudence resulting to homicide, no, dahil nga namatay yung bata. Okay, and supposedly si Isabelo Kalingasan was made by the court subsidiarily liable. No, kaya dito ngayon dahil walang pambayad yung driver, sinisingil si Kalingasan pambayad no ng civil damages with regards to the death of the child. Ang ginawa dito ni Kalingasan, yung jeepney, kaya ay pinasok niya sa loob ng Feli Transport Corporation. Ininvest niya, no? Gumawa ng corporation kung saan yung investment niya ay yung jeepney. Okay? Kaya ngayon, nung sinisingil na siya for the subsidiary liability, sabi niya, oops, wait lang, no? Corporate entity theory. Hindi nyo pwedeng gamitin yung jeepney na pambayad ng utang ko, no? Dahil ang may-ari ng jeepney ay si corporation that has a separate juridical personality. Okay? Yan ang naging claim niya dito. Pero eventually, when it reached the Supreme Court nga, natagpuan ng korte na ang incorporators ng Feli Transport Corp ay lahat puro kamag-anak lang ni Isabelo Kalingasan. Na si Isabelo Kalingasan, yung asawa niya, yung kapatid niya, no, at yung mga anak ng kapatid niya. No, at that time na 5 pa ang required incorporators. So silang 5 ang incorporators ng corporation at ang tanging asset ng corporation na yan ay yung jeepney lang. No? Kaya makikita tuloy dito sabi ng Supreme Court that the purpose for the creation of the corporation is only to escape liability para hindi magamit yung jeepney. Kaya na pambayad ng kanyang subsidiary liability. Kaya sinet aside ng ating Supreme Court yung separate entity or separate juridical personality ng corporation at ginamit yung jeepney na pambayad for the civil or subsidiary liability of Isabelo Kalingasan. No? Kaya very illustrative lang na hindi naman na legal yung purpose kung bakit gumawa tayo ng corporation, edi hindi na mag-a-apply yung corporate entity theory natin. No? Kasi pwede na ngang i-invoke yung piercing the veil of corporate entity. Okay? Now, the second na meron tayong attribute is that a corporation is created by operation of law. Now, the idea here is that there must be consent on the part of the state before a particular corporation can be considered as created na. And dapat nga yan na bago magbigay ng consent ang state, ibig sabihin nakapag-comply na sa lahat ng requirements for a valid incorporation. Okay? And supposedly, the generic law na ginagamit natin or yung tinatawag na general enabling law when it comes to the creation of corporations will be our corporation code. Kaya dapat mag-comply sa requirements for valid incorporation bago magkaroon ng valid corporation din. Okay? Pero paano natin nasasabi na nagbigay na ng consent ang state? Kaya ang general rule natin on when a corporation will commence its corporate existence is upon issuance of the certificate of registration or certificate of incorporation. Kasi yan ang masasabi natin na consent ng state. Kapag may COR na or COI for that matter. Dyan lang natin masasabi na nag-consent na. Kaya meron ng corporation to speak of. Okay? But by way of exception, to the requirement of the issuance of the certificate of incorporation or registration, hindi kasali dyan yung corporation by estopel. Kasi ito, we will treat it as a corporation as to the parties who relied on the misrepresentation na yan ay corp. Although ang nagiging liability pa rin dyan ng supposed stockholders ay parang mga general partners lang. Kaya pag estopel, dahil wala naman talagang naging process of incorporation, wala rin talagang certificate of incorporation na makukuha. Pero tinatrato na lang din natin siyang corporation, in order to, because estop na, yung mga supposed stockholders because of their misrepresentation. Pangalawa is with those created by special law. Ibig sabihin, hindi sila kinreate under the general enabling law. Or ito rin yung mga tinatawag nga nating corporations na merong sariling charter. Which is a law that will be creating the corporation itself. Minsan ang tawag pa ay organic law. Kasi it lends creation to a particular entity. Pero yan din yung charter. So bakit yan exception? Because the law itself will provide kung kailan ang commencement ng corporate existence. Kaya hindi ka kailanganin na may COR pa from SEC. And kadalasan nga ay wala naman. COR from the SEC. And pangatlo ay yung tinatawag natin mga sole corporations or corporation sole. Kasi ito ang start ng kanilang juridical personality is upon filing of the verified articles of incorporation. Pag-file pa lang nito, may juridical personality na. Ano ba ito mga corporation sole? Normally, yan yung mga religious title. So the Pope is a corporation sole. The Archbishop of Manila is a corporation sole. The Archbishop of Batangas is a corporation sole. Although puro religious title nga, so it can be an imam, it can be a rabbi, kung Jewish, basta nga normally religious title yan nag-a-attach. Kasi itong corporation sole, even before the amendment of the revised corporation code, ay meron ng perpetual existence. Meron na yan, even before the amendment pa. Kasi ang idea dito kung bakit ginagawang corporation yung mga religious title is to perpetuate property ownership. Kaya supposedly, the corporate entity attaches to the title. Kaya ngayon, kunwari si Pope Francis, ang Pope natin. Pag siya ay napalitan na as Pope, yung Pope pa rin ang may-ari ng lahat ng properties under the name of the Pope as a corporation sole. Kaya kahit napapalitan yung nakaupo, ganun pa rin ang ownership, yun ang nagiging purpose kung bakit tayo merong corporation sole to begin with. Now, the third will be the right of succession as an attribute. Ito rin kadalasan yung tinatawag ng ibang authors as a strong juridical personality. Because ang idea nga dito ay ang corporation natin will be unaffected by the personal circumstances of our stockholders. Hindi nga katulad sa partnership na mamatay, magkaroon ng incapacity, civil interdiction, insolvency, sa ating mga partners, agad-agad dissolve na. Dito sa corporation, kahit pa sabay-sabay, mamatay lahat ng stockholders mo, nag-outing kunwari, lahat namatay sabay-sabay, meron pa rin corporation. Yan ang ibig sabihin natin ng siyang right of succession, that the personality of the corporation will not be affected by any of the personal circumstances affecting our stockholders. Kaya nga yung ibang author, tinatawag yan na strong juridical personality. Okay? And then, the last attribute ay meron tayong powers, attributes, and properties expressly provided for by law, okay, or incidental to its existence. Although, ang idea pa rin dito ay it's more of limiting, okay, on what a corporation can do. No, hindi katulad ng mga natural persons na pwede nilang gawin ang kahit anong gusto nila. No, whether it can be a crime or not, it doesn't matter. Pero pwede niyang gawin. No, legally speaking, na allowed or rather kaya niyang gawin 'yan, no, from a physical perspective. Okay? Pero kapag corporation kasi, meron lang those that are powers na tinatawag natin, no, or yung mga properties, yun lang ang allowed, no? Kaya kadalasan ang tawag natin dito ay doctrine of limited capacity. Okay, capacity. Kasi ang pwede nga lang gawin ng isang corporation ay kung ano lang ang allowable para sa kanya. No, nalilimit lang. Now, ano yung mga powers na yan? Now, yung powers can be classified into express, okay, implied, or incidental. Express powers will be those that are either provided in the corporation code itself, okay, or provided in the articles of incorporation. Now, ito rin yung mga tinatawag nating set purposes. Okay, sa ating articles, yan yung mga naka-enumerate na purposes, no? Which will be the express powers of a corporation. And everything that can be implied, no, from those that are expressed, na hindi naman na kailangan naka-specify pa. No? Like for example, the disposal of property. Okay, that can be implied na kahit wala yan sa express powers kung meron naman siyang power to acquire property. It is but a natural consequence na meron kang karapatan dapat to dispose that. No? Kasi otherwise, yung corporation mo magiging hoarder pa. No? Ang allowed lang siya, mag-acquire lang na mag-acquire pero hindi nakakapag-dispose. No, so impliedly, okay, meron na rin siyang right, no, or power to dispose of those properties, okay? And those that are incidental to its existence, no, na kahit wala yan sa express, kahit hindi pa yan implied, no, ay pwede na. Although, sa totoong buhay, no, lahat ng mga powers ng corporation ay express na lang, no, kapag sa practice, okay? Kasi nga ayaw natin nung may duda pa, no, kapag yan ay nilagay natin sa articles. Kaya kunwari sa property, nakalagay talaga yun na the power to acquire, sell, encumber, mortgage, pledge, lahat naka-specify, no, na mga klase ng transactions na pwede mong gawin, no, relative to property ownership. Okay? Now, although nasa express na rin naman karamihan, no, ng mga incidental to its existence. Like for example, okay, wala sa express powers mo sa articles na pwede kang mag-acquire ng real property. Okay? Pero pwede mo bang gawin yan? Pwede. Okay? Pwede kang mag-lease ng real property? Pwede. No, kasi otherwise, wala kang principal office. No? Kaya incidental to the existence of the corporation na magkaroon ng principal office, then it will be an incidental power then dapat for them to acquire or to enter into a lease agreement kung ano man yung magiging principal office na gagamitin nila. No? Kaya, again, supposedly, okay, limited, no, ang capacity natin dahil dapat pasok dapat sa mga yan. No? Kaya ito, nagiging limited capacity dahil kapag ang act na gagawin ng ating corporation ay outside, okay, of the express, implied, or incidental powers, yan yung tinatawag nating ultra vires. Okay, kapag wala siyang power to perform, no, that particular act, we call it ultra vires na. No, hindi yan express, hindi implied, hindi rin incidental, nagiging ultra vires na ang treatment natin. Okay? Now, what are those powers, no, that are expressly provided under the code itself? Okay, the power of the corporation to sue, okay, and be sued under its own corporate name. No, again, proceeding from the idea that it has a separate juridical personality, kaya if it is the real party in the case, dapat sa kanya yan nakapangalan. No, hindi pwedeng nakapangalan sa board, hindi pwedeng nakapangalan sa ating stockholders. Dapat si corporation, no? Kasi siya nga yung party, no? Doon sa kaso na yon, dapat siya ang nakalagay sa title ng kaso. Okay? The right of succession that we have already mentioned ay nasa definition pa. Okay? For the period of time that will be stated in the articles na meron ng existence ito. Although as we will discuss in later on, na ito ng corporation ay may perpetual existence na. Na meron ng perpetual existence by default. Okay? And pangatlo, to use and adopt a corporate seal. No? Yung logo, okay, na ginagamit, no? Na tinatawag nga din natin na nagiging corporate name niya. No? Kaya yan din ay allowed, no? Expressly provided under the corporation code. Okay? And also with regards to the articles and the bylaws, the right to adopt, okay, and the right to amend or repeal na any provisions thereof. Ang requirement pa rin natin dito, lahat ng pumapasok sa bylaws natin are technically stipulations. Na kaya hindi rin yan pwede na contrary to law, morals, public policy. Na kasi nga ma-required pa rin dapat lahat yan na nagiging lawful. Okay? Now, kung ito man ay stock corporations, expressly provided na rin ang corporation code na pwede siyang mag-issue ng stocks, pwede siyang kumuha ng subscribers, at pwede rin siyang magbenta ng treasury stocks. No? Although kahit hindi naman yan na-specify, it would have been incidental. No? Kasi paano ka naman magkakaroon ng kapital kung hindi ka makakapag-issue, no, ng mga shares of stock, no? Kaya incidental na rin talaga yan to its existence. Or kung ito ay non-stock corporation, to admit members, na magiging express power na rin yan under the corporation code. Okay? And again, with regards property, no, whether real or personal property, to transact. Okay, yan na rin ang general na lang na term na gagamitin natin. No, kaya naka-specify lang lahat: to purchase, receive, convey, lease, sell, pledge. No, lahat yan ay transactions with regards real and personal property. Okay, pero ang idea pa rin dito ay dapat yan related to the lawful business of the corporation, no, or that which can be required, no, for its operation. Kaya kung hindi naman yan mapapakinabangan, no, ng corporation, nagiging ultra vires na, no, if the transaction will be on a property na hindi mapapakinabangan ng corporation natin. Okay? And the power to enter into reorganization, no, whether merger or consolidation man ito. Okay? And ngayon nga naka-specify na sa corporation code na pati partnership ay pwede na, no? Kaya nga sabi natin kanina, ano ang difference ng partnership at joint venture? Practically wala na, no? Kasi dati nga sabi ng Supreme Court, the only difference is that a corporation cannot become a partner, no? Pero ngayon ay pwede na, no? Ang corporation wala nang difference, ang joint venture at partnership. Okay? Now, also to make donations. Okay, nagiging part din ng express powers natin yan, no? Yun nga lang dito, okay, historically, ang exception natin dyan ay hindi pwede kapag political, okay, donations ang nature, or donations to a political partisan activity. Okay, and before, the prohibition applies to both, okay, domestic corporation or foreign corporation. Okay, but with the amendment of the revised corporation code, tinanggal yung word na domestic. No, kaya technically sino na lang ang bawal na magkaroon ng political partisan donation, domestic or foreign corp na lang, no, ang bawal ngayon na magbigay ng ganyang donation. Okay? Kaya nga technically kasi dati, ang nangyayari dyan, no, nagdo-donate ba ang corporation for political activities? Meron pa rin dati. No, ang ginagawa lang talaga diyan ay nilulubog. No, kadalasan yan nasa miscellaneous expenses or papasok yan sa cost center ng presidente as representation expense, no, for that particular corporation. Okay, pero ngayon legal na, no? Kaya kahit ilabas mo na yan in the open na nagkaroon ka ng political partisan donation, pwede na. Okay, kaya nga technically, sino makikinabang dito, no, sa amendment na yan? Eh di yung nag-amend, no? Yung mga nag-amend din, no? Kasi sila din naman talaga yung dodonatan, no, ng mga yung mga candidates din na dodonate ay sila din, no? Kaya legal na ngayon, no, yung pagdodonate sa kanila. Okay? And to establish a pension that will be applicable to our directors, employees, trustees, or officers. No, allow din yan to establish a pension or other retirement plans and those that can be implied, no, from what we have enumerated as express powers. Okay? Now, again, ultra vires acts are those that will be performed outside of our express, inherent, or implied powers. Yan lang ang nagiging definition natin dyan. Now, kaya kapag kunwari ang statement na ma-encounter natin sa board exam ay ultra vires acts, okay, are illegal acts. No, ganyan ang sinabi sa atin. This is not necessarily true at all times. No, kaya magiging false ang statement na yan. Okay? Kasi not all ultra vires acts are illegal. Again, nagiging ultra vires lang kasi wala sa express, sa implied, or incidental powers ng corporation yan. No, kaya nagiging ultra vires. Pero kapag sinabi sa atin ay illegal acts, okay, are considered ultra vires acts, then that is true. Now, because a corporation being created by operation of law will only be allowed to perform acts, no, that are within the legal bounds. Now, kaya the moment na gumawa sila ng illegal, automatic yan na ultra vires kasi wala ka namang ilalagay sa iyong articles of incorporation talaga na illegal acts. No? Kunwari, lalagay mo sa articles mo to sell shabu. Okay? Magiging ultra vires pa rin ba? Yes, kasi illegal yan. Hindi naman pwede talaga dapat na nasa articles yan. No? Kasi bawal nga, or rather, all the acts of a corporation must always be legal. Okay? Kaya pag illegal na, automatic na rin ultra vires. Okay? Ito, bigyan ko lang kayo ng example. Okay? Kunwari ito, in one case, not decided by the court, nagkaroon dito ng isang nangungutang. Let's call him X na lang, or actually her. Now, let's call her X. Ayan, si Miss X. Okay? Ay nangungutang sa PNB. Okay, yun nga lang, ayaw siyang pautangin ng PNB, no, because of the credit score, no. Hindi katiwa-tiwala, no, kung magbabayad ba ito si Miss X. Kaya ngayon si Miss X kinausap ang kaibigan niya si P. Na sabi niya kay P, pwede bang i-accommodate mo, no, yung utang na kukunin ko from PNB. Ang ginawa ni P dito ay nag-execute ng cheque. Okay, nagbigay ng cheque at ang nakapangalan dito ay yung corporation. No, yung cheque na yan. Tinawag niya pa pati yung vice president, no, para pumirma kasi dalawa ang signatory ng cheque na meron yung corporation nila. No, at yan ang binigay kay PNB. Okay, as an accommodation, no, bill of exchange as we would call it. Okay, kaya ngayon si PNB, okay, nagbigay ngayon ng loan proceeds or pinayagan na na mangutang itong si X, kaya nagkaroon na dito ng loan transaction. Okay? As it turns out, itong si X ay hindi nakapagbayad ng loan. Na hindi niya nabayaran yung loan na yan sa PNB. Na kaya ngayon sinisingil na ni PNB ang corporation. Okay, dahil nga sa corporation nakapangalan yung cheque, no, that was issued to the bank. Okay, kaya dito, na anong naging role ng corporation diyan sa loan transaction na yan? An accommodation party. Okay, yan yung tawag natin in the negotiable instruments law. No, na supposedly, ikaw ay nakapangalan doon sa negotiable instrument pero no, wala ka natanggap na benefits. No? Kaya ang purpose lang ay para ipahiram kay ang pangalan mo, no, for to facilitate the transaction. Sabi ng Supreme Court, a corporation being an accommodation party is ultra vires. No, because it will not have the express, inherent, or incidental, or implied powers to become an accommodation party. It is outside of the allowable powers of the corporation, kaya yan, ultra vires. Pero illegal ba? No, ang pagiging accommodation party, hindi. No, talagang allowed naman ang pagiging accommodation party. It's just that kaya a corporation cannot do that. No, kaya nga sinasabi natin na ultra vires man yan, it's not necessarily illegal. No, pero dito hindi nga naging liable ang corporation. Sabi ng Supreme Court, it must be the president and the vice president who signed the check who may be personally liable under the check. Kasi nga ultra vires yan for the corporation to become an accommodation party. Okay? Now, let's go to the classification of corporations. The first major classification na meron tayo ay kung pwedeng mag-distribute ng surplus profits. Kasi pag yan ay stock, pwede. Okay? Kapag yan ay non-stock, hindi pwede. Okay? Mag-distribute ng surplus profits. Ngayon, okay? Makikita natin sa definition ng stock corporation in the corporation code na may nakalagay pang capital stock is divided into shares. Now, but again, that's not going to be what determines kung yan ba ay stock or non-stock. Now, what will determine kung yan ay stock or non-stock will be the authority to distribute dividends. Now, kasi nga pag non-stock yan, bawal. Now, pag stock corporation lang yung pwede. Kaya pag ang non-stock corporation ay kumikita, nagkakaroon ng profit, saan napupunta yan? It must be utilized to further the purpose for which the non-stock corporation is created. Kaya kunwari, PICPA, is a non-stock corporation. Kumikita ba yan? Yes, kasi nagkakandak nga ng mga seminars. Although, currently, nakakatawa, PICPA is suspended in providing CPD seminars. I don't know kung nabalitaan nyo yan, pero suspended sila ng BOA. Hindi sila pinapayagan ngayon na mag-conduct ng mga CPD seminars. Kaya nga medyo weird, di ba? PICPA is the National Organization of Accountants. Tapos sila patuloy yung hindi pwede na magpa-CPD seminar because of violations in the CPD law on the conduct of CPD seminars. I don't know if you're aware of that. Pero yan, kapag kumita ang PICPA, saan gagamitin yung pinagkakitaan nila? Ibabalik lang din doon sa organization na pwedeng gamitin for other activities or for its operations. Pero hindi na didistribute sa ating mga members, hindi pwedeng napupunta sa trustees, hindi rin yan napupunta sa mga officers as bonuses. Walang ganun. Kasi nga pag non-stock corporation, bawal mag-distribute ng surplus profits. That will be the determining factor. Kung non-stock or stock man, ito. Okay? Now, on the other hand, under what law it was created, we can classify a corporation into domestic or foreign. Kapag domestic corporation, PH laws. Ang ginamit natin dyan. Pag foreign corporation, other than. Philippine laws ang ginagamit natin. Kaya nga ito, yan din yung tinatawag natin na incorporation test. And take note, yan lang talaga ang test na yan, kapag ang classification natin ay domestic at foreign, which will be material, particularly pagdating nyo sa income tax. Kasi yung domestic corporations nga, yung taxable worldwide income. Pag foreign corporation naman, pag within lang. Pero ang idea kasi dito, pag incorporation test ang pinag-uusapan natin, hindi nagmamatter dyan, or hindi natin kinoconsider yung nationality, or citizenship, ng ating mga stockholders. Hindi yan nagmamatter. Kaya can a domestic corporation be 100% owned by a foreigner? Yes. Allowed yan. Kasi nga, ang tinitingnan lang ay saan or under what law was it incorporated. Can a foreign corporation be 100% Filipino-owned? The answer is yes. Kasi nga, basta incorporated abroad. O kunwari yan, after the board exam, pumasa na nga kayong lahat. Pumasa na lahat. Tapos, yung mga moods mo, na nakakausap mo lang sa Twitter, sa chat lang, sa Facebook, napag-isipan nyo sa pumunta ng Hong Kong para mag-Disneyland, to celebrate. Tapos habang nandun kayo, sabi mo, uy, gawa kaya tayo ng corporation dito, trip-trip lang. So, nagtayo kayo ng corporation dyan, lahat kayo Pilipino. In that case, what is the classification of the corp? Foreign, no? Kasi nga incorporated under a law other than the Philippines. Again, no, incorporation test lang ina-apply natin for this classification. Hindi nagmamatter dyan ang nationality or citizenship ng mga stockholders natin. Okay? Now, sa definition lang ng foreign corp, if you look at the corporation code, may nakalagay pa na may resident agent siya na dito sa Pilipinas. But that's not going to be material for classification purposes. Okay? Whether may agent or wala, basta created under laws other than the Philippines na foreign corporation na. Hindi material yung pagkakaroon na ng resident agent dito sa Pilipinas. Okay? Now, the third classification is whether the public can own shares. Na kasi pag yan ay closed corporation, hindi. Pag yan ay open corporation, pwede. Na itong mga closed corporation natin will be composed of a limited number of persons na normally ay hindi nga pwedeng mag-exceed. Okay? Hindi yan pwedeng mag-exceed ng 20. No, maximum 20 lang sila. And ang isa sa mga requirement in order to be considered na a closed corporation other than the number of stockholders, pangalawa ay required dito na magkaroon ng restrictions. Okay, sa transfer ng shares. Hindi katulad sa ordinary corporation, the restrictions are optional, no? Kung gusto lang nila. Okay, pag closed corporation, mandatory. Okay, na dapat may restriction with regards to the transfer of shares. And pangatlo, no, na nagiging requirement ay bawal mag-list. Okay, in the stock exchange, no? Itong ating closed corporation. Yang tatlong yan na rin yung tinatawag natin mga mandatory provisions, no, sa kanilang articles of incorporation para maging closed corporation yan. No, kaya nga walang nagiging public investors, no, when we talk about a closed corporation. Hindi katulad pag open, okay, as the name will suggest, ay pwedeng tumanggap, no, ng stockholders or investors from the public, no, at wala ring restriction, no, na nag-a-apply sa kanila with regards listing in a stock exchange, no, pwede. And in fact, when they do list, no, at nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na initial public offering, then they will become a publicly listed corporation na, no, na magkakaroon ng minimum public ownership requirement na. No, pero ang idea nga dyan, hindi iilang tao na magkakakilala lang, no, kapag open corporation ang pinag-uusapan natin. Okay? Now, pang-apat is we classify a corporation with regards to the purpose. Now, particularly kung nagkakaroon ba dito ng government purpose. Okay? Ng purpose of government. Okay, or governing for that matter. Kasi pag private, wala. Okay, pag public, meron. No, na governmental purpose yan. Kaya pag private corporation, ang pinag-uusapan natin dyan, the benefit would normally directly to the individuals or members na. Na hindi katulad pag public corporation nga na ang purpose is to govern. Okay, a particular political or territorial subdivision of the Philippines. No? Kaya dito, apat lang ang klase ng public corporation na meron tayo. That will be your provinces, okay, the cities, municipalities, okay, and barangays. Na yan lang ang apat na klase ng public corporation na meron tayo. No, kaya nga ang dinidiscuss natin ay law on private corporations kasi etong mga ito na public corporation ay governed by the local government code. Kaya yan ang batas, no, that will be applicable to them, not the corporation code, although they have corporate existence also. Okay, pero yun nga, public corporation kasi ang treatment natin sa kanila. Okay, now with regards whether may religious purpose, we can classify it as ecclesiastical kung meron, okay, and lay corporation kung wala. No, kung wala naman nagiging religious purpose, then lay ang treatment na meron tayo dyan. Okay? Now, kapag lay corporation naman, we can further classify this into eleemosynary or civil on the question na kung magkakaroon ba yan ng charitable purpose. Okay, charitable purpose. Kasi pag eleemosynary meron, pag civil, wala. No? Kaya yung civil technically will be for the personal benefit lang of the members or the stockholders. Pero kapag eleemosynary, yan nga yung nagkakaroon ng benefit din to the public. No? Dahil may charitable or benevolent purpose kung bakit ito created. Okay? Ito naman, wala naman yan sa corporation code. No? Pero dinidiscuss na lang din natin on the chance, no, na pwede nga tayo maka-encounter ng objective type question. Okay? With regards the eleemosynary corporation. Lalong-lalo na, hindi naman natin nagagamit yung word na eleemosynary sa pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay, no? Saan mo naman conversation yan ipapasok, no? Matitisod ka, tapos sasabihin mo, ay, eleemosynary. Wala namang ganun, no? Kaya binabanggit na natin para aware kayo with regards these terms, no, na ginagamit ng mga authors relative to commercial law, no, or that of the corporation law. Okay? Now, as to the number of persons, pwede yang maging aggregate kapag more than one, pero pag isa lang, sole corporation ang tawag natin. And ngayon nga, meron na rin tayong tinatawag na one-person corp. No? Pero kasi pag sole corporations nga, yan yung normally religious titles. No? Kaya yan yung archbishop, bishop, priest. No? Lahat yan, puro mga religious titles, no, ang ginagamit natin. And again, dalawang bagay ang nagpapaiba na sa sole corporation even before the amendments of the revised corporation code. Yung start, ng juridical personality is upon filing pa lang ng articles, no? Hindi issuance ng COR. And pangalawa nga, may perpetual existence na yan even before the amendment of the revised corporation code. Okay? Pero aggregate nga kapag more than one person ang nagiging composition ng ating corporation. Okay? Now, ito na lang as to validity of formation. Okay? Particularly, ito ang nagiging factor natin dyan. Okay, the compliance, no, with the requirements in order for there to be a valid incorporation. Kasi pag full ang compliance na meron tayo, we call it a de jure corporation. Ang nagiging consequence niyan, dahil de jure corporation siya, ay applicable dito ang corporate entity theory. Na may separate juridical personality ang corporation. And ang isa pang consequence niyan is that you cannot attack or question the validity of the corporate's existence, whether that be a direct attack, okay, or a collateral attack, bawal. Okay? Hindi katulad kapag yan ay de facto corporation, okay? Merong compliance. Yun nga lang hindi full, no? Kaya tinatawag lang natin yan na colorable compliance. Ito may tatlong requisites pag de facto corporation, no? Na supposedly there exists a law, okay, under which it could have incorporated. Okay? Pwede sana mag-incorporate, no, under that law. Pangalawa, okay, there is an attempt in good faith, okay, to incorporate. No, at ito nga, yan din yung tinatawag nating colorable compliance, no? Attempt in good faith to incorporate. Okay, and pangatlo, no, is that there is exercise of corporate powers. Okay, pag yung tatlong yan ay present, de facto corporation na. No, and under the law, a de facto corporation will also, okay, have a separate juridical personality. Na pwede rin yan na magkakaroon ng corporate entity ang ating de facto corporation. Pero pagdating sa pag-question natin sa kanilang existence or sa personality ng corporation, ina-allow na yung direct attack. No, at yan nga yung tinatawag nating quo warranto proceeding. No? Ito, I'm sure narinig nyo na yan at one point or another, lalo na natanggal si Chief Justice Sereno. No, pero that's just one of the province, as you would call it, ng quo warranto. No, yung removal ng officers on the ground na hindi qualified. Another way, no, by which quo warranto is being invoked ay kapag questionin nga natin ang personality ng corporation. Okay, but take note, pag de facto corporation, hindi pa rin allowed kapag collateral attack lang yan. Okay? Ano ba ang pinagkaiba? Pag sinabi natin kasing direct attack, the very subject of the case will be the personality of the corporation. No? Pero pag collateral attack, iba ang subject matter, tapos na di-discuss, okay, yung personality ng corporation on the side. Kaya literal ito yung tinatawag na collateral damage. No? Parang ganun ang nangyayari dyan. Hindi pa rin pwede. Kaya pag de facto corporation. Okay? And supposedly meron tayong tinatawag na corporation by estoppel. At pag corporation by estoppel, walang compliance at all. Okay, with regards the requirements for a valid incorporation, okay, in which case ang treatment natin sa kanila ay parang mga general partners. No, kaya ang idea tuloy dito, no, ay walang separate juridical personality yung corporation by estoppel natin. No, and the legal existence or personality of the corporation by estoppel can now be questioned in both a direct, okay, or a collateral attack allowed na din. No, pwede na yan. No, kapag corporation by estoppel ang pinag-uusapan natin. Ito, yung mga principles na ito on de jure, de facto, and corporation by estoppel, wala pa ako nabalitaan na tinanong to sa board exam. No, to be honest, hindi pa yan. Pero pagdating kasi sa bar exams, paborito yan. No, kadalasan talaga tinatanong yan pagdating sa bar. No, kaya ang tendency lang dyan, if ever, ay baka matanong yan sa bar at kokopyahin din. No, kasi kadalasan pag situational, kinokopya lang ng BOA, no, doon sa bar exams. Kasi nga public, no, ang info with regards to exam questions pagdating sa bar. No, kasi pag alis mo pa lang sa testing center, nasa iyo na yung questionnaire. No, inuuwi talaga yan pagdating sa bar exam. No, sa PRC exams lang, no, all licensure exams naman, hindi lang CPA. No, yung pinagbabawalang iuwi. Okay? Kaya nga may NDA pa, no, na hindi ka pwede mag-disclose, no, kung ano yung mga questions na na-encounter. Kaya baka sakali lang, no, na matanong na yung principles na ito on the premise nga na tinatanong kasi yan pagdating sa bar exams. Okay? So, let's illustrate lang. Although I think in the next slide, nandito nga yung mga requisites yan for our de facto corporation, no, na may law under which it can incorporate the attempt in good faith, okay, which will be your colorable compliance to incorporate, and the use of corporate powers, okay, or the exercise of corporate powers will all be the requisites para magkaroon ng de facto corporation. Okay? Kaya kunwari, mabigay lang tayo example. Ito example ni Dean Sundiang, no, at ni Professor Tolentino, who are both experts in commercial law. Kunwari daw, no, kunwari itong si A, B at C at si D, okay, ay organizers. No, gusto nilang bumuo ng corporation. Itong example na to was provided at the time na 5 pa ang minimum natin na incorporators. No? Kaya in-invite nila tuloy ngayon itong si P. Sabi nila, P, sali ka. No? Gagawa kami ng corporation, tapos ikaw yung gagawin naming president. Okay? Nag-agree naman itong si P, no? So bumuo na nga, let's call it X corporation. Okay? At itong corporation na ito, supposedly, okay, entered into a transaction with Y corporation. No? Kung saan naman si Z, okay, na presidente ang pumirma, okay, for the corporation itself. No? Ang pumirma in the contract in behalf of Y corporation, at dito si P. Okay? Ang pumirma naman in behalf of X corporation. Now, for some reason, kinancel, okay, yung kontrata ni X Corporation. No? Hindi niya na tinuloy ang kontrata. Kinasuhan tuloy siya ni Y Corporation for breach of contract. Okay? Yan ang naging subject matter ng kaso. No? Pero kinasuhan din kasi si P, okay, in his personal capacity. No, para maging liable din with regards to the breach of contract. Now, as it turns out, however, itong mga organizers na ito pala, gumawa nga ng articles of incorporation, pero hindi naman pala nila na-submit sa SEC. Na itong articles of incorporation na ito. So ngayon, ang relevant question sa atin dito ay pwede bang maging personally liable si P? Okay? Considering na ang kanyang pagpirma sa kontrata is in his official capacity as the president lang. Okay? And the party to the contract is still the corporation na supposedly nga may separate juridical personality. Now, in answering that question, it will be relevant to determine what will be the classification of the corporation. Now, it will be considered ba a de facto corporation, okay, or a corporation by estoppel, no? Considering nga that the articles was not submitted to the SEC. Kasi kung sakali, no, na de facto ang maging classification natin sa kanya, then in that case, hindi pwedeng i-question by collateral attack. Okay, ang personality ng corporation. Take note that the subject matter of the case is a breach of contract. No, pero on the side ay nadidiscuss, no, ang personality ng corporation inaatake, no, ang personality ng corporation kasi kinakasuhan din si P in his personal capacity. No, kaya kung de facto yan, bawal yung collateral attack na yan, and applicable nga ang corporate entity theory, kaya it follows na walang personal liability. Okay, dapat, no, ang ating presidente dito kasi ang pagpirma niya sa kontrata ay official capacity lang, no? Kaya dapat si X-Corp lang ang magiging liable under the contract dahil siya lang naman ang party sa kontrata na yan, no? Pero pag tayo ay corporation by estoppel, okay, papayagan na yung collateral attack, walang corporate entity theory, no? At magiging personally liable na nga dyan ang presidente, kahit pa official capacity ang pagpirma niya. Na dito, ang sabi ni Dean Sundiang at ni Timoteo Aquino, no, ay dapat daw corporation by estoppel ang treatment dyan. Now, because the submission of the articles to the SEC, okay, yan yung sinasabi natin na attempt in good faith. Okay, kaya apparently tuloy, the submission of the articles to the SEC will be our bare minimum, na para masabi natin na may attempt in good faith to incorporate. Kaya dahil hindi na-submit ang articles doon sa SEC, edi corporation by estoppel lang siya. Kaya pwede nang questionin ang personality ng corporation kahit pa hindi ito ang subject matter ng kaso, no? Or by collateral attack pwede na, no? At dahil nga walang corporate entity theory na mag-a-apply, walang separate juridical personality, dahil corporation by estoppel lang, the president can be made personally liable, no, with regards that particular breach of contract kahit pa pumirma lang siya in his official capacity. Okay? So I hope now we're clear with regards this particular principle, no? On the chance nga na baka ito ay matanong na sa board exam. Okay? Yung de facto po ba, sir, pwedeng sabihin general partnership? No, I wouldn't call it that. Na iba pa rin ang concept. Kasi pag general partnership ay pwede ka pa rin maging liable up to your personal assets. Kapag de facto, parang corporation pa rin talaga, no? Na merong limited liability lang din ang mga stockholders natin. Okay? Sige, we'll take our last break now before we continue with the rest of the corporation code. Okay? Sige. So, okay, we're now on organization and incorporation. Okay? Before everything is submitted to the SEC, may tinatawag tayong promotional stage kung saan wala pang corporation to speak of. No? Kaya ang mga kausap pa lang natin dito ay yung tinatawag natin na mga promoter or organizer. As the name would suggest, they will be the one who will be promoting the venture, okay, and inviting people to invest, okay, in that particular corporation that they are yet to incorporate. Okay? Kaya necessarily there may be contracts that they will be entering into in behalf of the corporation that is yet to be formed. Now, pero sabi kasi natin, the juridical personality of the corporation begins from the issuance of the COR pa. Kaya sino ang magiging party to the contract? Si organizer, no, or si promoter. Kaya magkakaroon din siya ng personal liability, okay, relative to those contracts that he will be entering into. No, normally lang dyan, nagkakaroon kasi ng stipulation, no, na nagkakaroon ng substitution. Okay? Kasi kunwari yan, one of the contracts that they may enter into prior to the start of the corporation will be a lease contract. No? Kasi nga, kakailanganin mo ng principal office. Okay? Na magiging principal office ng corporation na nilalagay din natin sa articles. No? Kaya they will enter a lease contract and they will be the named lessee. Okay? And normally lang, may stipulation na kapag natayo na ang corporation, magkakaroon tayo ng novation in the person of the debtor or yung tinatawag nating substitution. No? Na yung corporation na ang papalit na lessee once it is formed already or once the COR has already been issued. No? But otherwise, kung wala mang substitution na magaganap, magtutuloy-tuloy lang ang personal liability ng ating mga organizers dahil sila nga no, ang nagiging contracting party sa ating contract. Okay? Now, the process of incorporation begins with the drafting of the articles. No, anong naging bago dito? Kasi bago ang revised corporation code, ang procedure talaga ni SEC ay dapat magbibigay ka muna ng pangalan. Okay? Magre-reserve rather ang term na ginagamit no, ng magiging corporate name. Okay? I-check ngayon ng SEC yan no, kung available ba ang pangalan na ito kasi bawal nga na yan ay similar or confusingly similar to an already existing corporation. No? Kaya pag yan ay pinayagan, tsaka ka palang magda-draft no, ng articles of incorporation. Which I suppose is logical. No? Kasi nga naman, baka mamaya mag-draft ka na ng articles tapos it will turn out na hindi naman pala no, available ang pangalan na ito, edi in that case, uulitin mo patuloy ulit lahat, no? Dahil nga magpapalit ka pa ng pangalan. Edi pagbalik mo, pag hindi na naman pwede, papalitan mo na naman ulit. No? Kaya for efficiency, no, nire-reserve muna yung pangalan before we start, okay, with the drafting of the articles of incorporation. Ano ngayon ang bago dyan? Under the corporation code or under the revised corporation code, nilagay lang yung procedure na yan doon sa corporation code na natin. Na dati, internal rules lang siya ng SEC. Okay? Ngayon, nasa corporation code na siya mismo. No? Pero technically nga, hindi naman bago kasi ganun na nga ang gawain noon pa. Okay? Na aside from the articles, ipe-prepare na rin natin yung ating mga supporting documents and kapag kompleto na yan lahat, saka natin isasubmit to the SEC. Okay? Yung articles together with the supporting documents at matatapos lang ang incorporation natin kung sakali nga na ma-issue na ang COR. Now, which again will be the start of the juridical personality of our corporation. Okay? Kaya ngayon, ano ba yung kailangan na laman ng articles of incorporation natin that will then be submitted to SEC? The name, now will be the start there. Article 1, ganun na nakalagay. No? Name of the corporation, okay, under which it will be known. Now, it will be necessary, okay, with regards the legal existence of the corporation and with the requirement nga na bawal kasi dapat itong similar or confusingly similar, okay, to an already existing corporation. No? Kaya pinapayagan dito si SEC na i-refuse ang registration natin kung sakali nga that it will violate the prohibition for similar or confusingly similar corporate names. And again, importante nga yan dahil nga may separate juridical personality si Corp, yan yung magiging pagkakakilanlan niya. No? Kaya kumbaga sa tao, no, required na dapat meron tayong pangalan. Okay? Kaya ngayon, kunwari ikaw ay pinanganak. No? Pinanganak ka, dapat may pangalan na ibibigay ang iyong mga magulang. Kaya kung sakali na hindi sila nagbigay ng pangalan, na ito ko lang sa mga estudyante ko naman sa kabilang review school, na kung sakali na pinanganak at hindi nagbigay ng pangalan ng parents mo, na pero na-issue na or na-process na kagad ng ospital yung birth certificate mo, ang lalabas na pangalan dyan ay baby boy or baby girl. Na kaya kunwari De La Cruz ang apelido, di baby boy De La Cruz, baby girl De La Cruz. Na ganun na nagiging pangalan. Although dyan mo nga may isip minsan kung mahal ka ba ng mga magulang mo. Na kasi ang tagal-tagal na pinagbuntis ka ng nanay mo, hindi sila nag-isip na magiging pangalan mo, 'di ba? Parang medyo questionable lang. Kami nga wala pang anak pero lahat may propesyon na. No, lahat. Joke lang naman. Pero nagjo-joke kami na ang propesyon na may mga propesyon na yung mga magiging anak na preferably sana ang una namin magiging anak ay tawag dito, ang una namin magiging anak ay flight attendant. Na flight attendant. Pero kung mataas-taas ang kanyang pangarap na pwede siyang magpiloto, gagastusan ko yan. No, na magpipiloto siya, walang problema. Basta magtatrabaho siya sa airline. Na yan dapat yan para maging libre ang airfare namin na mga magulang niya. Okay? Pero hindi ko ipe-pressure talaga ang mga anak ko. No? Kaya yung pagiging piloto, okay na ako kahit flight attendant lang ang gusto niya, walang problema. Okay? Ito ang sabi ko din talaga sa kay Mrs. na ayokong i-pressure ang mga anak ko na mag-excel academically. If they will do that, no, because they want to, then why not? No, pero hindi yan requirement. Basta pumapasa lang, okay na sa akin. Kasi growing up na academic achiever, na I realized na hindi pala ganun kasaya. No? Kaya ang goal ko lang pag nagkaanak na ako ay masaya siya. No? At mabuti siyang tao, yun lang ang requirement ko, okay na ako. Okay? Pero hindi kailangan na academic achiever pa. Ang importante masaya siya. No? Kung masaya siyang maging academic achiever, then why not? Diba? Pero yung pressure kasi, yan yung ayaw ko no, na magkakaroon ng ang mga anak ko ng ganun. Okay? Yung pangalawa magiging anak namin ay singer. No? Professional singer. Preferably, kasi yan ang frustration namin. Na kaya kung papanganak man siya na walang talent, Ryan Keviam siya malala. Nagsasalita pa lang siya, nagvo-vocal lessons na siya. No, para nga sigurado talaga na magiging singer. Yung pangatlo ang magiging doktor, no, kasi nga pag tumatanda na at least libre ang check-up. Yung pang-apat ang magiging CPA lawyer, no, para magiging executor ng last will and testament. Siya na rin ang mag-aasikaso ng settlement of estates. Na yan ang magiging goal diyan. Yung panglima, kahit wala na, no, kahit addict na lang siya. Eh, wala ng problema kasi successful naman ang mga kapatid niya. Na kaya wala ng problema kahit ano siya, yung mga artist, sculptor, painter, yan, wala problema yan. Na kung yun lang trip niya, wala ng problema. Pero joke lang namin. Again, wala namang pressure. Ayoko nga mape-pressure ang mga anak ko. Okay, ano to? Yung mom ko po, baby girl nakalagay sa birth certificate. O yung mama ko, suppose. No? Ganun yan. No? Kapag na-issue na yung birth certificate ng walang pangalan, ayaw niyo po ba ng CPA? Okay lang naman. No? Pero yun nga, hindi naman ipipressure na gawin yun. Sir, swerte ng mga anak mo sa'yo. Naku talaga. No? Ang sarap ko pa magluto. Sana ako na yung panglimang anak. Hindi pwede. Kailangan may 4 muna bago ka maging panglimang anak. Hindi naman pwedeng pagkaampon po sa'yo, pang-5 anak ka agad. Now, anyway, so yan, no, ang magiging importance kung bakit may name dapat ang corporation natin at ang requirement nga ay not similar or confusingly similar to an already existing corporation. Okay? Now, the second will be the purpose or purposes. Now, ito yung magiging powers, okay, of the corporation that we have mentioned a while ago. At yung mga naka-indicate na purposes natin sa ating articles ay yung tinatawag nga natin na express powers, no? Kung saan malalaman nga natin kung ano, no, ang kaya at pwedeng gawin ng isang corporation following the doctrine of limited capacity. No, kaya kailangan naka-specify yan. Yun nga lang, if there's going to be more than one purpose, ang nagiging naming natin dyan ay primary purpose. Okay, may isang primary purpose dapat. No, may isang primary purpose, then everything else, okay, ay secondary na. No, all others, okay, ay nasa secondary na. Kaya secondary purposes ang magiging tawag dyan. Okay? Hindi na kailangan na may tertiary, fourth, fifth, sixth, no? Hindi kailangan naka-specify na. Lahat sila collectively ay secondary purposes na. No, pero ang idea dito ay dapat nga na inline din yan with the purposes that you have, no, or that they can be validly mixed together. Okay, with regards to the purposes. Kaya nagmamatter din ito, no, yung paglagay natin ng purpose or purposes with regards to the legal requirements. Okay, that may be applicable. Legal requirements, ayan. Like for example nga, no, with regards whether they can be mixed, okay, as purposes. Kasi kung kunwari, na naglagay ka na ng banking, okay, as the primary purpose, hindi ka na pwedeng magkaroon ng insurance, okay, as a secondary purpose, no, and vice versa. Okay, because that is not allowed by law. Kung banking ka, banking lang. Kung insurance, insurance lang. No? Kaya nga kadalasan, yung mga insurance company na affiliated with banks are incorporated as separate entities. No? Kasi hindi mo pwedeng pagsamahin na purposes yung banking at insurance. Okay? Pangalawa, dito na natin chine-check, no, kung magkakaroon ba tayo dito ng requirement sa batas, particularly yung minimum, okay, Filipino ownership requirement. Okay, diyan din natin yan makikita. No? Kasi for example, ang magiging purpose mo will be retail trade. Okay, retail trade, ang nagiging primary purpose, edi may requirement dyan na dapat 100% Filipino-owned yan. No, sa purposes din, natin makikita, no, kung mag-a-apply ba ang legal requirements na ito. No, kaya nagmamatter yung paglagay natin ng purpose at purposes. No, ito lang, ang magiging common requirement natin dito, no, ay dapat it must be lawful. Okay, we cannot have a purpose that will be illegal, no, na ilalagay mo dyan sa articles mo to sell shabu. Okay, to sell marijuana, yan yung mga bawal, no? Kasi contrary to law agad. And again, being created by operation of law or a mere creation of the law, then everything that the corporation will do must be lawful. Okay? Pangalawa, okay, is that it must be stated concisely, no? Pero broad or general terms ang ginagamit natin because again, they spell out the powers, no, that the corporation can perform or the acts that they will be allowed to do. Okay? And they must be specified, no, kung ano ang primary, okay, and then separately identified lahat ng secondary purposes natin. No? Pero hindi na nga kailangan pa na may third, fourth, fifth, lahat ay collectively secondary purposes na lang at pwede nga dapat silang paghaluin, no, or that they can be lawfully combined. Ang example nga natin diyan, pag banking, bawal ng insurance. Pag insurance, bawal ng banking. No, kaya hindi sila pwedeng maging, no, secondary purposes sa isang corporation lamang. Okay? Now, the third will be the principal office of the corporation. Now, dito pa lang sa provision ng batas, makikita na natin na dapat ang principal office natin ay within the Philippines. Na, kaya nga wala tayong concept ng non-resident domestic corp. Na walang ganon. Lahat ng domestic corporation ay resident. Na, because ang principal office will also be the residence. okay, of our corporation. No, yan na rin ang treated as residence niya by law. Okay? Na ang requirement dito ay ilalagay natin hindi lang yung probinsya but also the city or municipality where it will be located. No, kasi dito nagmamatter yan on three particular things. No, yung paglagay natin ng principal office dahil yan ang nagiging venue ng actions. Anong ibig sabihin? Under the rules of court, pag ikaw ay magkakaso or ikaw ay kakasuhan, ang venue, no, kung saan pina-file yung kaso na yan ay kung saan ang residence ng plaintiff or kung saan ang residence ng defendant. Okay? Kaya kung corporation, ang plaintiff or corporation ng defendant, malalaman na natin kagad sa principal office pa lang kung saan pwede, no, na i-file ang kaso. And technically kasi pag nagkamali ng venue, no, dapat final mo yan sa Manila, pero final mo sa Quezon City, final mo sa Laguna, pwedeng i-dismiss. Okay? For improper venue. No? Kaya nagmamatter din kung saan talaga fina-file ang kaso, and for that, nagmamatter nga kung nasa ng principal office ng corporation. Pangalawa, okay, ay kung saan natin i-register yung chattel mortgage kapag shares ng corporation ang ginamit as a security. No? Kasi it will be where or the chattel mortgage registry that will have jurisdiction over the principal office of the corporation. No? Hindi nagmamatter dito yung residence or place of business ng ating mga parties, kaya ang nagmamatter ay saan ang principal office na ng corporation na yan. No? Doon natin i-rehistro yung chattel mortgage. And pangatlo, with regards where the meeting, okay, of our stockholders or members for that matter, okay, ng non-stock corporation will be held. No? Kasi ang rule natin dyan ngayon under the revised corporation code is that the meeting must be conducted in the principal office itself. No, pero kung sakali lang na hindi practical, then in the city or municipality where the principal office is located. No, kaya nga nagiging requirement din na nilalagay dapat natin yung city or municipality sa magiging principal office. Kasi kung hindi practical na mag-meeting sa principal office, then kahit saan na, doon sa city or municipality na iyon. Although as we will discuss later on, Metro Manila, Metro Cebu, and Metro Davao are considered as one city or municipality. Now, for purposes of determining the proper venue. Now, importante ba talaga na valid yung venue natin ng meetings? Yes. No, kasi kapag ang meeting natin was held on an improper venue or an invalid venue for that matter, then the meeting becomes void. No, kaya technically or general rule natin is all resolutions adopted therein will not be effective. No, or will be considered void na nga kapag may meeting requirements na hindi nasunod. Okay? Now, pang-apat will be the term, okay, which the corporation will exist if they opted to adopt one. Na kasi nga by default naka-perpetual existence na tayo ngayon under the corporation code. Kaya hindi na applicable ngayon yung maximum 50 years na term. Now, that was provided in the old corporation code. Na? And take note na nag-a-apply nga yung perpetual existence natin na ito even with regards existing corporations. Now, in the transitory provisions of the revised corporation code, yung mga existing corporations natin by operation of law will have also perpetual existence. Now, by default na. Yun nga lang, they can still opt to retain the specific term that they have kaya if they want to. No? Kaya ang idea tuloy, pag walang ginawa ang corporation, yung perpetual existence na mag-a-apply sa kanila. And what will be the required number of votes to retain the corporate term na that they initially agreed to? Majority vote lang. Okay, ng ating stockholders ang kakailanganin. Okay, in order to retain the corporate term that they originally had. Okay, attorney, yung venue po ba ng kinakasuhan na corp ang masusunod o yung nagkakaso po? In the rules of court, the defendant. Okay, ang nagiging venue. Pero hindi naman na relevant yan because that's in the rules of court na. Now, that's too much information for you to retain. Okay, now, number 5. Or dito muna, sa definite term natin. No? Supposedly nga, okay, ang definite term natin can be adopted if they want to and it will be indicated no, in our articles. Pero pwede ka ba mag-extend? The answer is yes. Ang requirement dito, however, is that the extension must be filed not earlier than 3 years. Okay, kaya hindi ka pwedeng atat. No, kaya kung may 5 years pa or 4 years pang natitira sa term na corporation, hindi pa pwedeng i-file yung extension. Okay? It must be within the 3-year period prior to expiration yung pagpa-file natin dyan. And dapat ang filing natin ay prior. Okay, to the expiry date. No, kasi kung late ka magpa-file na extension technically, no, pag late filing tayo na extension, dissolved na. No, or that it will result in the dissolution of the corporation na. No, in fact, okay, in the old corporation code, na maraming naging kaso dyan ng Supreme Court na na-late lang ng 3 araw, na-late ng 5 araw, no, sa pagpa-file ng extension na ito, hindi na rin pinayagan no, ng Supreme Court na ituloy lang ang negosyo as is. No, kasi nga supposedly, pag na-dissolve na, but you want to continue the corporation, you would have to reincorporate. Okay, nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na reincorporation. no? Para lang hindi mag-liquidate. Pero literal na lahat ng requirements ulit para mag-incorporate ay mag-a-apply ulit. No? Kasi nga na-dissolve na, no? Ang corporation kapag late ang filing natin ng extension or after the expiry date na tayo nag-file. Kasi ang idea din dito, no, ay kumbaga sa tao, pag yan ay namatay na, pwede bang gamutin mo lang? No, or extend ang buhay niya, hindi na, no? Ganun din ang concept natin pagdating sa corporation. No, dahil namatay na, hindi mo na pwedeng basta lang i-extend ang buhay. Kaya ngayon, ang maganda, under the revised corporation code ay may concept na tayong tinatawag na revival. No, and literal yung term. No, na kung sakali man nag-expire ang corporate term pero gusto mo sana ituloy, no, yung corporate existence lang niya pero late ka nga nakapag-file ng extension, literal na magpa-file ka na lang ngayon ng request kay or petition for revival with the SEC. Kaya nga literal yung term kasi namatay ang corporation, bubuhayin ulit. Okay? Kaya hindi na kailangan pa, no, or hindi na nag-a-apply yung concept natin ng reincorporation. Okay? Hindi na yan magiging applicable ngayon. Okay? Kasi nga meron na tayong concept ng revival, no? At yan na ang magiging effective, okay, na pwede natin gamitin if we want to continue operating as a corporation. Okay? Kaya yan na nakakatawa kasi pag tinignan mo sa tax code, nung in-amend ng create law, yung reorganization, andun pa rin yung recap, nandun pa rin yung reincorporation, no? Under section 40C2. No? Kaya minsan mako-question mo rin kung wala bang chat group ang Kongreso. No? Kasi in-amend na ang revised corporation code, may revival na, pero yung create law that is after, okay, the revised corporation code nandun pa, no, yung reincorporation. Kaya medyo weird lang din minsan na sana nag-uusap-usap sila, no, para related yung mga batas or pag related ang mga batas ay merong mga related principles na magiging applicable. Okay? Now, panglima will be the details with regards to our incorporators, no, which will be the names, the nationality, and their residences. Okay? Pero ito, no, may distinction lang tayo. Pag corporator, technically, that's just another term for a stockholder. Okay? As long as you are, no, part of the composition of the owners, okay, ng ating corporation, corporator ang tawag. Okay, pero hindi na kailangan pang nasa articles ka din. Hindi katulad ng incorporators, yan nga yung ating mga OG. Okay, OG stockholders, no? Kasi sila talaga yung original at nakalagay pa sa articles of incorporation. Kaya ang idea din dito, yung pangalan or details, no, or itong panglima na nilalagay natin sa articles will be one of the things, no, that cannot be the subject of an amendment. Okay? Kasi hindi mo naman na talaga mababago yung fact na sila ang incorporators, no? At anything, baka ang pwede mo lang palitan dyan ay yung nationality or residence nila kung magbabago man. Pero yung pangalan, no, ng incorporators natin is not subject to amendment na, no? Kasi nga hindi na magbabago yung fact, no, na sila ang incorporators ng ating corporation. Okay? Now, ang requirements, no, in order to be incorporators, okay, dati ay natural persons lang, no? Pero ngayon, ang mga juridical persons ay pwede na rin na maging incorporator, no? Allowed na yan. Kaya tuloy, tinanggal sa wording ng provision yung of legal age. Na pero, nandun pa rin yun sa circular na inisyo ng SEC na kapag ikaw ay natural person, ang incorporator, kaya applicable pa rin yung requirement na dapat of legal age ka. No? Which I suppose is logical naman. No? Kasi nga, kaya in the civil code, we consider the minors kaya as, what do you call this, as incapacitated. Diba? They cannot enter validly into a contract. So what more? No? Creating a corporation. Kaya applicable pa rin yan. No? Sa mga juridical persons naman, ang requirement lang dyan ni SEC ay duly registered. Okay? Yun naman ang nagiging counterpart, no, ng of legal age kapag natural person ang incorporator. And the requirement that they must subscribe or own at least one share. So two things. Na una, one share ang requirement. Walang percentage requirement dyan. Hindi kailangan na 1%. Okay? Basta may isang share lang, sapat na. Pangalawa, makikita natin dito na nawala na yung residency requirement. Okay, kasi dati ang required na dapat majority ng incorporators natin are residents of the Philippines, tinanggal na yan. Now, under the revised corporation code. Kaya ito na lang, no, ang mga requirements natin for incorporators. And another thing na nawala ay yung minimum 5. Okay, dati, baliktad ganyan. Okay, ayusin ko na nga lang. Okay, dati ang number of incorporators natin will be 5 to 15. Okay, ang number of incorporators, pero tinanggal na rin yan, no, sa mga requirements under the revised corporation code to pave the way, no, for the creation nga of the one-person corporation. Kaya kahit mag-isa ka lang, dahil strong and independent woman ka, pwede. Dalawa kayo ng jowa mo, pwede, pwede. Tatlo kayo kasama ang kabit niya, pwede. 4 kayo kasama ang kabit mo, pwede rin yan. No, kasi wala na nga yung minimum 5 na requirement natin. Okay? Kaya allowed na, okay? Whether 2, 3, 4 or kung mag-isa ka lang dahil one person corp, pwede na rin yan. No? Wala nang magiging minimum requirement for incorporators. Sir, kung sino po yung mga unang shareholders, stockholders, sila din po ba yung incorporators? Or possible po na pwedeng hindi po? I don't know what you're referring to, pero if they are the original stockholders, then they are incorporators. No? You cannot become an original stockholder nang hindi ka incorporator. Okay? Hi, attorney, yung requirement po ba na of legal age ay for incorporators lang po, not for corporators? Yes, eto na nga. No, kapag corporators naman ang pinag-uusapan natin, no? Dati na yan na hindi nag-a-apply sa kanila yung minimum, okay, na requirement na 5. Wala naman yan dati, no? Kahit dati pa. Pagdating sa corporators, dati na rin hindi applicable sa corporators yung residency requirement at dati na rin hindi applicable yung natural persons of legal age sa corporators. No, kaya nga ang requirement lang to be a corporator ay dahil stockholder ka. Na lahat ng mga pinag-usapan natin, whether na retain or natanggal under the revised corporation code ay pang incorporators lang. Na pang incorporators lang ang requirement na yan. Sir, hindi mo ba pwedeng i-amend yung corporators or ha? Okay? Pag corporators, wala sa articles. Ha? Pag corporators, kasi stockholders. So there will be nothing to amend. Pag incorporators, nakalagay sa articles, pero sabi nga natin, yung pangalan ay hindi na na-amend. No? Because the fact that they are the incorporators will never change. Okay? Dahil sila pa rin na, lagi, no, yung original stockholders natin. Kaya hindi na yun magbabago. That's why you cannot amend that. Okay? Now, pang-anim will be the number of directors. Ito na ngayon yung amendment din ng revised corporation code na maximum 15 na lang. Na dati 5 to 15 din ang nakalagay sa directors pero hindi na nga yan applicable ngayon. No, pwede nang isa lang ang director, pwedeng dalawa, tatlo, apat, pwede na. Wala nang minimum 5 directors. Pero pagdating sa trustees, kaya wala naman tayong limit, no? Kaya sila pwedeng more than 15. Ito lang, pag directors, ngayon pa lang i-clarify na natin na pag directors ang pinag-uusapan, we pertain to a stock corporation. Okay, pag trustees ang pinag-uusapan, we pertain to a non-stock, okay, corporation. No? Kaya yan lang ang nagiging practically yung distinction, no? On the title, no, that we are using. Pero yun nga, sa pangalan, no, does not exceed 15 kapag directors, kapag trustees naman allowed, no? Walang nagiging or hindi nag-a-apply yung limit. Okay, so attorney, parang founder, incorporator, yes. Now, I don't know why you have to come up with different terms pa for that, no? Because we are technically, hindi naman na kailangan pa. Pero but yes, no, they mean one and the same thing, no? Founder and incorporator. But I don't see the need, no, on why we should give it another name pa. Okay, now, pampito. Ito lang. Under the revised corporation code, no, ang maganda ngayon ay malinaw na rin kung ilan ang requirements natin for independent directors na dapat ay at least 20% na ng entire membership of the board. Dati, na ang nakalagay sa revised code of corporate governance ay 20%, okay, or 2, whichever is higher. Okay, ang rule natin dyan, pero not to exceed 2. No, ganyan ang wording. Kaya nga technically, lagi lang din dalawa, no, ang independent directors dati. Kasi kung kunwari, 5 ang directors mo, edi 1, then 2. Whichever is higher will be 2, not to exceed 2. No, kung 10 yan, okay, edi 2 ang 20%, 2 din, no, whichever is higher still 2, which does not exceed 2. Kung 15 ang directors mo, 3 ang 20%, or 2, whichever is higher will be 3, pero not to exceed 2. No, kaya laging 2. Hindi ko alam bakit ganun yung wording ng revised code of corporate governance, no? Kaya ngayon maganda. No, nakalagay na nga sa revised corporation code natin ay malinaw na at least 20%. Okay, kaya ano ang mga possible number of independent directors na meron tayo? Ito lang. No, either 1, 2 or 3. Okay, ang independent directors na meron ka. Kasi wala naman tayong independent director na 1.2. Na 1.4. Wala namang taong 0.2 or 0.4, no? Kaya laging absolute numbers. Kaya ang pinag-uusapan natin pag independent directors. Okay? Now, sino ang mga required? Yung corporations vested with public interest will be those that are required to have, okay, independent directors. So kasama dyan yung mga covered ng SRC. Okay? So ibig sabihin yan, meron silang securities, no, that are being regulated, okay, or those that are financial intermediaries, no, collectively kung tawagin natin. Okay, kaya yung mga bangko, pawn shops, okay, insurance companies, mga financial intermediaries ang tawag natin dyan because they are imbued, okay, with public interest. Okay, and such other entities that eventually the SEC may determine to be invested with public or vested rather with public interest. So sila yung mga mandatory na dapat ay may independent director. Sa totoo lang, pag kayo ay nagtrabaho na sa isang firm or nagtrabaho kayo sa kumpanya, yung mga independent directors pa yan yung mga bida-bida. Na mga bida-bida talaga yan. Na paano ba sila nagiging independent directors? Ang idea dyan ay wala silang interest, okay, in the corporation other than the stock holdings na meron sila. No, yun lang, no? Pero wala silang pakialam otherwise. Kaya supposedly they can make decisions no that are independent in character. Okay? Kasi nga wala naman silang ibang pakinabang doon sa corporation other than those related to the shares that they are holding. Okay? Pero wala silang participation from the day-to-day operations. Okay? Now, eto lang din, ilalagay din natin yung mga initial directors or trustees habang wala pang regular elections for them. Ilalagay din natin yung pangalan nito mga initial directors na ito, okay, as including their residences at ang kanilang nationality. At kapag ito ay stock corporation, tatlong bagay. Kapag may par value, okay, ang shares nila, tatlong bagay ang required na naka-indicate. Okay, may authorized capital stock, okay, the number of shares, kung saan ito divided, the number of shares na meron tayo, and the par value. Pero kapag yan ay no par, okay, value shares, a statement of the fact lang ang nagiging requirement. Anong ibig sabihin? Hindi mandatory na ang issue price or stated value ay nakalagay din sa articles. Kapag par value shares lang, yung required yung par value nasa articles din natin. Okay? Kasi pag no par value, as we will discuss later on, the issue price or the stated value can be fixed after incorporation na either by the board or by the stockholders. Kaya hindi mandatory na nasa articles yung issue price or stated value. Sa par value lang, yung required na nasa articles din, ang par value na ito. Okay? And we will also be indicating in the articles kung magkano yung subscribe at bayad na ng ating mga subscribers. Okay? We will indicate that also in the articles of incorporation. Okay? Now, you will notice that the 25-25 requirement has already been removed. Okay? Dati, may requirement pa tayo that at least 25% of the authorized capital stock must be subscribed and at least 25% of the subscription must be paid up with a minimum of 5,000. Okay? Minimum 5,000. Pero tinanggal na nga yan. Okay? With regards incorporation. Kaya ang datingan tuloy dito, pwede ka ba mag-incorporate? Kahit 10 piso, kahit 100 pesos lang, ang paid up capital mo, pwede na. Kasi wala nang minimum requirement. Okay? But take note na yung 25-25 natin ay nag-a-apply pa rin pag increase, okay, in authorized capital stock ang ating transaction, applicable pa rin yan. Okay, ang tinanggalan lang ay kapag pre-incorporation na subscription at paid up capital. Pero pag increase in authorized capital stock, required pa rin na at least 25% of the increase, okay, must be subscribed and at least 25% of the subscription must be paid up. Okay? Now, ito lang yung mga distinction natin ng mga capital stock. So yung authorized capital stock will be the maximum, either amount in the articles or maximum number of shares, okay, that the corporation can issue. Kaya kung sakali nakakailanganin pa ng additional capital pero na-reach na itong maximum number of shares na ito, kinakailangan pang i-increase yung authorized capital stock natin because in no instance can the corporation issue shares beyond what will be the authorized capital stock. Okay, may tinatawag nga tayong subscribed capital. In this case, covered na yan by a subscription contract that we will be discussing later on also. And yung paid up naman, yung may binayad na on the amounts that are actually contributed or invested already in the corporation. Yun yung tinatawag natin ng mga paid up capital, which would normally be referring to our what you call this, par value also, including the APIC. Kasi yung paid up capital din, yung magiging rule natin na hindi pwedeng panggalingan ng dividends. Okay? Hindi yan pwedeng i-distribute as dividends. Okay? Now, what will then be the concept of the outstanding capital stock? Ito, magmamatter yan, lalong-lalo na later on when we get to the voting requirements. Okay? Nagmamatter din yan with regards liquidation. Okay? Yan din ang nagiging basis natin or even the dividends for that matter. Okay, kaya material ang concept natin ng outstanding capital stock. So ano ba itong outstanding capital? That will be our issued shares plus our subscribed shares. Kasi sinasama na natin yung subscribe dahil generally, they are already entitled to all the rights of a stockholder. That we will also discuss later on. Kaya outstanding na ang treatment natin kahit hindi pa yan fully paid. Pero binabawas natin dito yung treasury. Kasi yung treasury shares natin, nandito rin yan sa loob ng issued. Yun nga lang, they were reacquired by the corporation. Kaya habang nasa treasury, walang magiging rights ang mga shares na yan. Kaya tinatanggal natin siya sa ating concept ng outstanding capital stock. Okay? Now, kung nasa corporation naman, we will indicate the amount of the capital, okay, together with the details of the contributors, which will be practically the counterpart of our incorporators and the amount that they have already contributed. Okay? And such other matters that the corporation may deem necessary to include. Katulad kunwari, ito, yung mga other matters na yan may also include restrictions and preferences. Okay? So restriction with regards to transfer, yung preferences natin para sa preferred share, no? Whether dividends, whether assets, or both. Okay? Ang preference na yan. Yun nga lang, in order to be binding, particularly to an innocent third party, no, na mag-acquire ng shares, magiging binding lang yung restrictions and preference na yan kapag nasa articles at nasa stock certificate, no? Pag ordinary stock. Pero kapag closed corporation, no, ang ating pinag-uusapan nasa articles and stock din, na stock certificate, and the bylaws pa. Na nagkakaroon na ng pangatlong requirement pa kung saan ilalagay ang restrictions or preference na ito. But you will notice nga in either case, whether ordinary stock yan or closed corporation, nasa articles. Okay, ang restriction or preference na yan. Otherwise, mawala lang ang isa. Nasa mga yan, hindi na binding. Okay, doon sa innocent purchaser for value, yung restriction or yung preference na pinag-uusapan natin. Okay, now other matters that can still be included can be the treasurer's affidavit, no, or yung kanyang magiging pangalan na mangongolekta, no, ng payment to the subscription, the no transfer clause. Okay, etong no transfer clause, okay, is a provision in the articles which is practically a commitment, na a promise made by the corporation na laging mamimit ang minimum Filipino ownership requirement. Kaya yan no transfer clause dahil hindi sila magta-transfer or there will be no transfer that will make the corporation non-compliant with the minimum Filipino ownership requirement. No, kaya nga sinasabi, it's a promise na yung requirement for minimum Filipino ownership is always met. Okay, yan ang promise, no, by the no transfer clause. We can also indicate in the articles yung execution clause that will include the name and signatures of our incorporators and the notarial acknowledgement, no? Kasi nagiging public document nga ito, kaya ipapanotaryo din natin kay yung articles of incorporation na yan. Okay? Now, as a general rule, when we are going to amend the articles of incorporation, kailangan may majority approval yan ng board, okay, to which, no, the stockholders will concur, requiring a 2/3 vote of our outstanding capital stock. And then pag submit natin yan sa SEC, na hihintayin natin yung approval. Yun nga lang ito, no, kaya in general, yung rule natin ay dahil pag natatapos yung 6-month period for the SEC at nagkaroon lamang ng inaction, okay, lumagpas lang ang 6 months nang walang approval or denial on the part of the SEC, it will be deemed approved na. Deemed approved na itong ating amendments to the articles. Ngayon, bakit in general lang? Ang exception natin dyan that we will highlight later on ay kapag nagkaroon ng shortening, okay, of corporate term. Okay, shortening of the corporate term. Na unang-una, bakit yan exception? Kasi hindi pwedeng written assent lang. Na dapat nagkaroon ng actual meeting. Okay, ang mga stockholders natin. Now, when it comes to shortening of the corporate term, hindi pwedeng written assent lang ng mga stockholders natin. Pangalawa, hindi nag-a-apply dito yung concept ng deemed approved. Okay, kaya hanggat walang actual approval, hindi magiging effective yung shortening ng corporate term natin. Now, yan ang dalawang bagay na nagiging dahilan bakit hindi applicable sa shortening of corporate term amendment yung ating requisites in general, okay, to amend the articles of incorporation. Okay? Sige, we can end there na muna for today. Now, and we'll continue next meeting with the rules that will be pertaining to the board of directors.